quorum and we're going to start the meeting. So good evening, everybody. This is Seth Engelmore, Chair of the Nantucket Conservation Commission. Happy New Year, all. We are meeting for our January 9th, 2025 meeting in a hybrid fashion. There are some people physically present in the Town of Nantucket meeting trailer, and there are some people on Zoom. So the first thing we're going to do is to establish a roll call of members. So let's do RJ Turcott,
Present.
John Schaefer,
Here.
Mike Miserelli,
Here.
Joe Plandowski,
Here on Zoom.
Linda Williams,
Here on Zoom.
and I'm here. And normally the next thing we do is go to the continuances on the agenda. But before we do that, I would like to make a few basic announcements. So because we're in the new year here, people who have been following along may remember that we did two updates. We have a procedural update. So you'll notice the agenda is printed in a new way and the meeting fashion is going to happen in a new way. It might be a little confusing at first, but I think it's going to be great in the long run. So if you, as a commissioner, as a member of the public, or as a representative have any questions or concerns or are confused, let me know as the chair and we'll figure it out. And the second is that the Nantucket Wetlands Regulations regulatory update became effective January 1st, 2025. But here's the thing that's going to trip some people up. It applies to applications that were submitted after that date. So the filing deadline for all of the items on today's agenda was December 26th. I personally hand-checked everyone to make sure that they were submitted by December 26th. They were. So we'll be using the old regulations for this batch of permits. And then at some point, we'll be switching over to a combination of old and new based on when they were submitted or opened. And then at some point, we'll be in all new regulations. So bear with us, but the staff knows this as well and is working through it. So thank you to the NRD staff. Yes, Joe, go ahead.
When do you think we'll get to the real regulations that are supposed to be in effect?
Well, any applications that are submitted for the next meeting will be subject to those regulations. But any applications that are opened or haven't been opened and have been continued that were submitted prior to the first of the year are subject to the old regulation. So
Thank you.
yeah. Okay. Any other questions? All right. So on today's agenda, we have the following continuances. Under public hearing, we have Sconset Beach Preservation Fund at 41 through 119 Baxter Road, SE 48 37 36, continued until January 15th. We also, under notice of intent, have Sconset Beach Preservation Fund at 59 through 83 Baxter Road, SE 48 37 59, continued until January 23rd. We have the Summer House of Nantucket Realty Trust, 10 and 16 Ocean Avenue, SE 48 38 24, continued until February 20th. We have Segalini Properties LLC at 8 Bassett Road, SE 48 38 51, continued until January 23rd, January 23rd. We have 14 Tatimo Way Realty Trust at 14 Tatimo Way, SE 48 38 40, continued until January 23rd. And under amended orders of conditions, we have 36 Tennessee LLC at 36 Tennessee Avenue, SE 48 3807. I was told that this has requested a continuance, but I was not told until when. So Will or Paul, do you know that?
next meeting.
Until 23rd.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, continue the 23rd if you couldn't hear.
Okay, great. That will continue until January 23rd. And by my accounting, that is all of the continuances we have. Will, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, great. So,
20. Sorry, Seth, I think I heard 21 Field, right?
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
I did not call
Oh.
21 Field Avenue at SE 48 3882 continued till January 23rd.
Thanks,
Right.
and sorry, Seth, that one might have come in late as well.
Yep, that's okay. All right. So those are the continuances for tonight. We now need an acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Linda. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll take Joe for the second. We do need to do roll call vote. RJ Turcott,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
Joe Plendowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelborg votes aye. That carries unanimously. And we have an agenda acceptance. We'll move on to public comment. This is solely for items not on the agenda today. If you have any public comments, we'll be using the select board's protocol for public comment. So please raise your hand physically in person or on Zoom. If somebody is there in person, one of the commissioners is going to have to tell me, but is there any public comments?
Nobody here.
I don't see any on Zoom and I don't see any in the room. So we will be moving on. As always, if you do have public comments and we didn't get to you, you can send them to the Natural Resources Department staff. So next up on our agenda under public hearing, we are going to do notices of intent that have no waiver required. And here's what's going to happen. We are going to go through the numbers of each of these notice of intent. So for instance, I'm going to say 1 McCarthy, 9 Cow Pond Lane. If any commissioners want to open that hearing to have any additional discussion or commentary on that, you can raise your hand or tell me. We also are going to make that same offer to any applicants or members of the public. And then we're going to get a list of items that we want to open for discussion. Any items that we don't want to open for discussion, we're going to go and vote on as a block. But before we do that, we're going to have to figure out if any commissioners need to recuse on any numbers. So,
Okay.
commissioners, if you have any recusals that you need to make under the first section for no notice of intent, no waiver required, raise your hand and tell me the numbers. Yes,
Beth, number 3, Porter 60 Squam Road, I'm recused from.
anything else?
Not for me.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I have some. Just go to somebody else first. I can't find the other one. Hold on.
John has got his hand up, Seth.
John, tell me the numbers.
3.
Number 3. Anyone else?
Yeah, I do. Hold on. Just checking. All right, number 2,
Okay.
number 13.
Mm-hmm.
Is Mark Ritz here? Who's the owner of 90 Maya Comet?
Mark Ritz is on Zoom. It's within your prerogative to either answer that or not. It's up to you.
To the best of my knowledge, it's 90 Maya Comet LLC. I'm not sure who the controlling party is behind that.
These
Okay.
Miles Reese's properties?
I can answer that, Mr. Chairman. Yes,
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 Mr.
it is.
Fuller, go ahead.
All right, I can't sit on 14, 15, and 16. I've done work on 2 of those properties.
Okay.
And I think that's it up at that end.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have notice of intent if you want to do those now or just wait.
The waiver ones? No, we'll wait for that.
Okay.
Any other commissioners? This is your chance. Okay, seeing not. So now we're going to move on to the calling of the numbers. If you wish to make a comment, we're going to start with commissioners. If commissioners wish to make a comment on any of these or open them for further discussion, you're going to raise your hand and tell me the number when I call the number. Then we're going to go to applicants or members of the public and do the same thing. So let me see if I can do a little bit of split screen action here. Hold on 1 second.
And Seth, not to interrupt, but I'm gonna try to keep a list too if we end up calling any.
Yep, sounds good. All right. Number 1, McCarthy at 9 Cow Pond Lane. Will, if you see anyone in the room, just tell me. Okay, number 2, 46 West My Comet LLC at 46 West My Comet. Number 3, Porter at 60 Squam. Number 4, Donahue at 26 Gosnold. Number 5, Nantucket Oaks LLC at 99 Low Beach. Number 6, Charles or Hottie Toddy LLC, 76A Nantucket. Okay, number 7, Charles A. Ernst III Realty Trust, 166 Cliff Road. Number 8, Lowell, 5 Ackermuck. Number 9, Triple T Farm LLC at 1 Westchester Street Extension. Number 10, Kurtz, 177 Pulpus. Number 11, Ialawa, 9 Otokomi. Number 12, VTT 4 Pocomo at 4 Pocomo Road. Number 13, Barrett at 31 Dukes. Number 14, 90 My Comet LLC at 86 My Comet. 15 is at 88 My Comet. And 16 is at 90 My Comet. 17 is Abrams Point Realty Trust at 30 Rabbit Run Road. 18 is Go Cardinal LLC at 2 Windsor Road. 19 is IM Investments LLC, 10 Auriga Street. 20, JJ McAtee Jr., 1996 Revocable Trust at 220 Pulpus. And 21, 226 Pulpus. 22, Madron Lake LLC, 26 Monomoy. And 23 is continued. Okay. So yes.
Real quick, I think you had a raised hand for Duke's Road, Karen McClellan. In the
Okay. Yeah, we were just gonna go to the commissioners first, but
Oh, sorry.
so no commissioners have any they want to call. Okay. Any members of the public physically present in person or online, if there are any numbers that you want to discuss, raise your hand and we'll get the numbers from you. Yes, let's bring Karen McClellan over and Karen, if you can introduce yourself for the record with who you are and which number you would like to hear.
Classic. Indubitably.
Not that word again.
I think she's muted.
Yes. What was the number that you think they wanted?
It's Duke's Road. Yeah, we had a
31 Dukes.
letter.
Yeah, there was a supplemental.
She submitted a letter today. for
Duke's
that.
Road, number 13? All right,
Yeah,
that's fine. We're gonna have to hear number 13 separately anyways.
sure.
Anyone else on Zoom or physically present in public? Yes, Mr. Ritz, go ahead.
My only question is about number 8. That was a Nantucket filing, and I see it's missing an SE number, but it needs a NAN number instead. So not anything to discuss, just to clarify that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's listed on the agenda with the SE, but we have it actually with the NAN designation, so we're aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Melissa Kaplan, please we'll bring them over and introduce yourself for the record and what number you'd like to discuss.
You actually didn't say the number, but I'm on the agenda. I'm with BSC Group. I'm representing Nantucket Electric Company for the modification for the Candle Street sub. So I didn't know if we weren't going to talk about that.
What's
Is it on here?
I don't know
What's-
what the number is. I can't. It's all the way at the bottom
That's
of the agenda.
Minor mod for
that's the
Nantucket.
minor mod. Yeah,
There it is.
we're gonna get to that later.
Okay, all right. I'll
Thank
stand
you.
by.
Yep.
I can't sit on that either.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out. All right, anyone else? Last chance. Okay. So, we're gonna have to do a few different votes here because of the recusals, but here's the vote on the numbers that everyone can make. That would be 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22 with the owners and property addresses and file numbers associated with them. Would somebody like to make a motion to issue all or to close all of those notices of intents
So moved,
um,
Mr. Chairman.
as a block?
So moved.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, by roll call vote. RJ Turcott,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
and Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
and Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg votes aye. Those are all that carries unanimously, and those are all closed. And now we're gonna make a vote on number 2, which is 46 West Comet LLC at 46 West Comet Road, SC 48 38 36, with Commissioner Williams recused. So RJ Turcott, or actually, sorry, we need a motion to close the notice of intent for this agenda item.
So moved.
Who is that?
Mike.
Okay, thank you, Mike, and Joe will take you for the second. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg votes aye. That carries with Commissioner Williams recused, and that item on the agenda has been closed. And now we're going to go on to number 3, which is Porter at 60 Squam Road, SC 48 38 47, with Commissioners Miserelli and Schaefer recused. So we have, yep, that gives us enough still. So we need a motion to close the hearing on that agenda item.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Joe got you, but we'll give you the second. So by roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries with the 4 commissioners sitting, and Commissioners Miserelli and Schaefer recused, and that item is closed on the agenda. We'll now be going on to number 13, Barrett at 31 Dukes Road, SC 48 38 36 or 38 86, with Commissioner Williams recused. Is there a motion to, oh, sorry. That is, no. There is a request for from a member of the public for that one to be heard. So we're going to open the hearing on number 13, which is Barrett, 31 Dukes Road, SE 48 3886, represented by Brian Madden. Mr. Madden, good evening. Please introduce yourself for the record and say your piece.
Thank you very much. Brian Madden from LEC Environmental Consultants. So the proposed project involves installation of a pool and cabana. However, I think those are which are outside the 50-foot buffer zone to BVW.
Hey, Brian, can I interrupt you real quick? I'm sorry. We have a Adobe issue. I'm logging in still. Do you want to share your screen?
Oh yeah, I can certainly pull it up.
Awesome.
I think Ms. McClellan's comments are not specifically related to the project per se, but the property in a past order of conditions that had been issued. Um, I'd be happy to um, get into the proposed project in more detail, or I could just turn it over to her to voice her comments.
So when we decided to make this procedural update, we decided that any items that are opened in this section would be introduced and heard like had been in the past. So if you
Okay.
can make a full overview of the project, so that everyone in the public is aware, and then we can go to Ms. McClellan afterwards.
Okay, great. So you see, proposed pool is located in this location. There is a small portion outside the 50-foot buffer zone where the proposed 15 by 30-foot pool is located, and the 240 square foot cabana. The pink line or the purple magenta line is the 50-foot buffer zone. Wetlands, BVW encircle the property and the existing single-family home. The pool itself, the bottom of it has been designed in a manner to maintain that 2-foot separation to high groundwater. Um, no waivers are proposed for the project. There's a small dry laid patio surrounding it with some regrading, no work within the 25-foot, and then a connection to the existing force main and a proposed sewer pit, pump pit within the driveway footprint. I think that the abutters questions were related to the force main. The force main had been approved by the Conservation Commission back in, give me a quick second here. Just pulling it up. Let's see. Back in, oh, apologies. It was issued in 2000, and a certificate of compliance was issued in 2013 with no ongoing conditions. But as proposed, the project for the pool, cabana, and patio landscaping and the utilities reconnection, no waivers are required. And I'll turn it over to the questions of the public.
Thank you. I mentioned it before, but Commissioner Williams is recused from this hearing. Other commissioners, are there any questions or comments that you have? Seeing not, we'll turn it over to questions or comments from members of the public. If you have a question or comment, please raise your hand and we'll recognize you.
Seth Will's away from his computer right now, so I don't know if you can see everything.
Okay. Ms. McClellan, do you wish to speak? If so, please raise your hand. Yes, let's get them transferred over as a panelist, and um, once that happens, please introduce yourself for the record with your name, any connection you may have with the project, and then you're welcome to make your comment.
Do you want me to continue the share?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Is Will there or not?
Yeah. I think he just ran out to get another space heater.
I think,
RJ, RJ's gonna try to transfer.
yeah,
over.
RJ, can you go over and promote to panelist?
That is why I am at home.
Thanks, Linda. Okay, Karen, I just sent you a message to promote you to panelist.
And you'll have to accept it.
Yeah. Okay, she's on, so you'll just have to unmute yourself, Karen.
Yes, please unmute. If you wish to go on video, do that, or if not, you can just go over audio. Please introduce yourself with your name for the record, your connection to the project, and your comment.
Maybe your microphone's not working.
Yeah, you need to unmute. Depending on what device you are on, if you're on a computer, you can unmute by clicking the audio button at the bottom of the screen. If you're on a phone or iPad, it might be in a different place.
Yeah.
But we
You are a panelist now, so whenever you're ready, Karen, and Will is back.
we can't compel you to unmute. You have to do that yourself, or else we won't be able to take the comment.
We also have her letter if we'd like to read that into the record.
The letter has been submitted and filed, so it's in the record.
Okay.
But
Oh.
yes, I see you're on video, and if you could just get your audio on.
Okay, yeah, I'm so sorry. I muted, I'm working and I couldn't have myself be able to be heard because I'm working. But yeah, I apologize for the late entry of or
Please
my
just say
letter. I just
your name for the record.
Oh,
your connection
sorry,
to the project.
Karen McClellan. I'm the owner of 37 Dukes Road. My ex-husband and I purchased the property in 1994, knowing that there was an easement to 31 Dukes Road for access, ingress, and egress, and gas and electric along our driveway. And I submitted my letter today. I apologize for the lateness. I just got the certified letter last week about the project. And so the gentleman, Mr. Madden, is correct that this doesn't really pertain necessarily to the pool. It's not that I'm objecting to the pool. It's the fact that the previous order of conditions on this property has, one of the conditions has never been met as outlined in my letter.
Thank you, Ms. McClellan. I'll check with our staff on this, but I believe the previous order of conditions does have a certificate of compliance that was
Right,
issued to it.
which just not.
Please don't cut me off.
I'm so sorry.
So I wasn't on the commission when that certificate of compliance was issued. Had I been, I would have probably looked at the condition and said that the conditions aren't being met. But because the previous commission issued that certificate of compliance saying the project was in compliance, it effectively closes out that order and makes that condition no longer relevant unless it was carried forward. We'll have to check as to whether it was or not, which I believe our staff is doing right now.
That's Brian.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
Brian is doing.
No,
Thank you. Brian does not work for us, but
Yeah.
yes, do you have the full cert with any ongoing conditions?
Yeah, nothing listed.
So thank you, Mr. Madden and Ms. McClellan. I do apologize, and I take it very seriously when conditions aren't followed correctly. But unfortunately, that condition is no longer active because the certificate of compliance has been issued, not carrying that condition forward. So there's nothing we can do at this point, unfortunately.
So can I speak
Yes,
to
please go ahead.
this?
Yes.
So I just want to say that I did go to the commission a number of times because we never, and neighbors, we saw effluent in the wetland and it was obviously leaking. I told the commission we never got that yearly letter saying that it had been inspected, the sewer line. And I was told by whomever I spoke with, I can't remember who it was, that the person went to the past owner's door and brought this subject up. And because the woman was very emotional, Meg Mickelson, I think was her name, she started crying, and the person said, I didn't want to upset her. So I just feel like you know, I'm not a rabble rouser. It's a valid concern. If you were to look at the order of conditions and the history of what happened back in 2000, and I just don't understand why all of my concerns have been ignored all these years, and now I'm told that I have not a leg to stand on. It's just really, it's not correct. It's just not right. And
Th- Thank you, Ms. McClellan, and I agree with you 100%. The protocol is not right. And on behalf of the Conservation Commission, I think this was bad practice and I apologize for it, but based on our regulatory capacity at this time, it's beyond the scope of what we can do given what has happened in the past. So unfortunately, that's where we're at. It doesn't really pertain to the current application either. However, if you do see any type of, you know, clear violation of and our regulations happening in the future, please bring those to the commission staff and hopefully this time they'll be able to assist. But apart from that, there's nothing we can do within our power at this point.
okay, I just do want to say, so after plus $10,000 plus of attorney's fees, back then Kevin Dale represented us. I just I don't, my only recourse then would be to file another complaint about this whole issue and the fact that I don't know what I'm supposed to. I guess maybe this is not meant for this meeting, this discussion, but it's just, and I assume that the new sewer line, because I read the plans that there's a sewer line that's going to connect to the existing one that goes through the wetland, that it's not going to be going down my driveway at all. I can't.
We'll get clarity on that question in a second, but as to the context of your letter and what you can do about past actions, this certainly is not the place for you to decide that. That's up for you to decide, but we don't have any recourse to assist with that. Mr. Madden, would you like to clarify the location and layout of the new force main?
Yeah, so the new connection for the force main is very short segment within the parking area, so not within the easement area. It's this location right here. The current tank and pump chamber is right in this location within close proximity to the pool. So a new sewer pump pit is being proposed within the driveway, and then a short segment of the new force main connecting to existing.
Thank you, Mr. Madden. And Ms. McClellan, again, I am sorry for what has happened, but we have no recourse to go back and fix the past. So at this point, unless you have any specific questions or comments related to this application, we're going to end the public hearing at this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess the only specific thing I would say is just that I got word from someone within the town, government, that the septic line did fail again this past year. And don't you guys hear about that kind of thing? But so once you submit you've given a certificate of compliance, you don't care whether or not there's septic or sewage flowing into the wetlands. I guess I'm just curious about oversight. Like anyway.
Sure. In general, the Board of Health is responsible for overseeing septic and sewer permits. But obviously, if there was like visible sewage or effluent flowing into a wetland that was documented and uh, as a result, directly as a result of a project, we could certainly issue an enforcement order on that. But we would have to have, documentation and history on that. But in general, sewer and septic is in the realm of the Board of Health.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you as well. I know this can be frustrating. I really appreciate you being here tonight and um, sharing your voice and your thoughts because that's the only way we get things done in government. So um, we appreciate you being here.
And
Thank you.
and I will pass along your letter and concerns to the new property owners and the project engineer as well.
Thank you, Mr. Madden.
Thank you. So in closing, I just want to say thank you so much. And I really am very fond of the Barretts. They're not living there, they're renting the property, but and in no way is this a reflection on them. It has to do with 20 years ago. And Mr. Madden, when you convey my concerns, if you would just let them know that this in no way is a way, I'm not trying to block anything. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Any
you.
other members of the public wishing to weigh in? Seeing not, commissioners, is there a motion to close this hearing? Yes,
Jeff.
Joe, thank you. Is there a second? Yeah, Will, did you raise your hand?
Sorry, this room is so rough, man. I know you can't see me. I just
go ahead.
wanted to jump in super quick and Miss McClellan, please send either myself or Jeff Carlson an email if you have any concerns about anything on the property. I unfortunately am like completely in the dark about anything that happened in 2000, but can do research if need be. That's all. Thanks, Seth.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate that. And I did leave a message with Jeff today, but then the secretary asked the office manager that I send that letter, which I will do that. I'll make an appointment to speak with one of you about my past concerns. But thank you so much for letting me, and I'm glad I figured out the technology on my phone. So
Yes, thank you.
appreciate it.
And thank you, Will. We have a motion on the floor made by Joe. We need a second.
Okay.
Is that John?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. This carries with Commissioner Williams recused.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. And now we're going to go back on to item number 14, which is actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to vote on 14, 15, and 16 together because they're all under the same ownership. This is 90 Myacomet LLC at 86 Myacomet, 88 Myacomet, and 90 Myacomet Avenue. And these Commissioner Williams is recused from each of these applications. So a different commissioner, we need a motion to close the hearing on those three applications.
So moved.
Thank you,
Mike.
Joe. And I think John was the second.
Mike.
Mike was the second. All right. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg votes aye. That carry all three of those carry with Commissioner Williams recused, and those are closed. And I believe by doing all those different votes, we have completed section A of notice of intent, no waiver required. And we will be moving on to section B of notice of intent, waiver required. So for this section, we'll be hearing each application individually, like we did under the previous procedures. There won't be any block votes or anything like that. We're just going to be opening the applications, hearing the applications, and then deciding to close them or continue them as needed. Let's see, the first four are continued, so we'll begin with West Assured LLC, 62 Winoma Way, SE 483869, represented by Brian Madden. Brian, hello again. Please introduce the project and say your piece.
Do you want me to share the screen?
This is
That's up
wild,
to
but
up to Will.
Adobe, yeah, Adobe's installing an update right now.
Okay, yes, share the screen.
All right, hold on a second. For the record, Brian Madden from LEC Environmental Consultants, representing the applicant. This property was subject to enforcement order that was issued, I think December or maybe a little bit earlier than that, for the installation of the deer fence. We have shown the proposed or the existing deer fence. Let me just zoom in a little bit. In this location, labeled wood post and wire fence. So it does minimally extend into BVW, associated with Tom Nevers Pond, and another section right through here, basically following an existing path that is an historic easement, cart path through the property, extends out in this direction, wrap around the property. So the notice of intent has been filed to relocate that fence. What has been installed, there was some brush cutting or mowing activity for the installation. However, there was no grubbing of any root material. So anything that was altered will grow back specifically along that path. But the proposed relocation is to relocate the fence outside the 50-foot buffer zone where it extends within vegetated areas. But there are portions of the outer perimeter lawn area you can see right through here that do extend into that 50-foot buffer zone where the fence is being proposed to be installed along the edge of the lawn. There's this area, and then there's a separate section through here, but otherwise outside the 50-foot buffer zone. And, with that installation, it would not result in any vegetation alteration, being on the lawn edge. And the applicant has requested a waiver for that activity to retain it in that location. Again, the intent of the fence is to provide some privacy and protection of landscaping from deer browsing. With that, I will turn over to questions.
Thank you, Mr. Madden. And I forgot to ask this, but is everyone sitting or do we have any recusals? Commissioner Williams, are you recused?
Oh, I'm not recused, but I have comments.
Okay, before we do that, is anyone recused? Okay, we're all set. Okay, yes, Commissioner Williams, go ahead.
I'm sort of the one that blew the whistle on this because I was working up the street and I had somebody call me and I segued on down the street and I happened to run into the new owner who had just purchased the property at the beginning of September, I believe, and hired somebody to do this. The person who was hired to do this, his argument with me was that he's done it all over Tom Nevers with no permits. I said, well, that's not actually the right thing to say to me. But it's not just there. I walked the whole perimeter with the owner. I walked the easement because you can actually go down from the bottom of Winoma, down the sideline there, and then down around the easement. And when the fence was first put up, there was a tremendous amount of cutting, not just a little cutting, cutting. And I stood down there where the path is. You can see where the easement up on the upper left there goes down to the pond. I was not even 15 feet from the edge of that pond where this thing was placed. They did follow the easement, but because of the height of the water from Tom Nevers, which had accreted up to into that access point, I was like down on level with a pond. I was really a sort of aghast. This is an 8-foot deer fence with very large posts with post caps on it. So Will went over to the other side, but Will can speak for himself, but you can clearly see the fence because the posts were very close together. They had post caps on the top, some sort of a fancy doodah thing from Main Street. And it wasn't just there that they cut all the way around the corner and down the property line with a monster fence, which I don't know if they've still gotten to the HDC with. A monster fence, which is a totally atypical fence. But they cut all the brush along here between it and the property line and it and the end of Winoma and have this fence completely exposed, cutting down all of the vegetation. So I don't know if we have jurisdiction over because of the habitat which is in it, because of the brush cutting that put this 8-foot fence in with all these posts to the gate, whether we have jurisdiction over that because of the habitat cutting. I'm just very happy that they're finally coming in after all these months and moving that fence back. But it should be a simple deer fence, not these humongous posts with post caps, which puts it back into the visibility from the easement even and from the road even. So I don't know if we have jurisdiction over that, but I can always go to the HDC and moan and groan there. But they have not been to the HDC as far as I know. But they're going to have to get through us first. But I'm pleased that they have moved it back that far. I did walk the lawn area, the pool area with the owner, and this is moving it back into already cultivated land. So I don't really have a problem with going along with his waiver, provided that this issue here with the going along the road part of it is not also within our jurisdiction because it's in the habitat and they cut all that brush down. Not that it was any kind of anything more than scrub oak, but I don't know the answer to that. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Will, do we have jurisdiction over all the cutting along the southeast and along the roadside?
Thank you, Linda. Yes, Will, go ahead.
Thanks. Are you asking specifically, sorry, Linda, are you asking specifically if we would have jurisdiction in the portions that are like within that easement layout?
No, it's the piece that's running below the pool, along the property line on the southeast side, and around the corner to the gate where the driveway is, which you can't really see here. But that whole thing was brush cut.
We met, yeah, I mean, that if it's within 100 feet, absolutely. If I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, then we would, anything within 100 feet. So if
Yeah.
that purple line, sorry, that light blue line,
Yeah, she's talking about the area that's south of that, which is
South of that,
outside.
but it's habitat. I didn't know if we had any jurisdiction on because they brush cut it.
Um, we have limited regulatory ability, but we do have some capacity to deal with issues outside of 100-foot buffer zones if they directly impact our regulatory areas. So
I just,
in
at some point, I'd
general,
like clarification of that section.
yeah, I'll tell you about that. In general, no, but depending on the actual activity or interest, possibly. Um, Commissioners, any other commissioners, questions or comments?
Is that Mike here?
Yes, go ahead.
I mean, I'd say at the very least, we'd want to see, what the fence is gonna look like. I don't see that in the package, nor did I see it in the package. So a drawing of the posts and the wire configuration.
Thank you. Mr. Madden, is that something that you would be able to provide to the commission?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. Other commissioners? Okay, it's my turn, I guess then. So, I want to talk about the performance standard or not. First, before I get to the performance standards, I want to talk about the protected interests that are relevant here. And most notably, I would say wildlife and wetland scenic views should be noted. This type of fence, which is even under the applicant's own admittance, a fence meant to block the passage of wildlife, blocks the passage of wildlife. I mean, that's that's what they said it does. It also, um, if the design considerations are like Commissioner Williams is suggesting, that tall with additional ornamentation, I think that could certainly cause impacts on our wetland scenic views. So I'm gonna wait to withhold my judgment until we see um, the design plans, but in general, I would say this type of fence that goes across basically the whole linear distance of the property, um, and is seeking a waiver from the performance standard to have no structures within the 50-foot buffer zone. I would say, in my opinion, that's a highly um, it's an area where I would be very unlikely to grant that waiver. It doesn't seem like it seems like a highly inappropriate request for that waiver, in my opinion. Other commissioners?
Seth,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement. Fence doesn't belong here, and I mean, if they want to do things outside of that purple line to control wildlife, that's their prerogative, but we don't typically permit this kind of stuff inside that purple line, never mind within the flagged area. Um, so I can't support it either. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just add, I mean, I see what they're saying in the area that's close to the existing cottage. Not that area,
Oh,
the
sorry.
cottage. There's not a whole lot of space between the cottage and the buffer zone, because like the patio would have to be um reconfigured, or would have to go over the patio or something like that. But that's honestly not our our concern. Our concern is caring for the performance standards of these protected interests. And this is a large property with plenty of area to build some type of fence that leads to, deer management and the serenity that they're requesting without having to issue a waiver for it. Commissioner Williams, do you have another comment?
No, I didn't take my hand down.
Oh.
I have to get used to being back on Zoom again.
So here's the other question. So in the procedural update, we did specifically highlight that any applications or any applicants bringing applications to the Conservation Commission must have applied for or obtained all other necessary local permits. We made this was actually in both the Wetlands Protection Act and our local regulations beforehand. But we've been pretty lax on this requirement in the past. We had a big discussion about this, and we made it uh, known that we're not going to close hearings unless that has been done. So, Mr. Madden, I know there was reference to HCC. Have you started that process, or any other processes that you may need to do?
I don't know specifically. I could certainly find out and circle back with everyone.
Thank you. Yes, you'll need to find out. We are not going to be closing hearings until we know that that has been satisfied.
Duly noted.
Commissioner Williams, go ahead.
I just want to clarify because I didn't make that meeting. It was tied up. We've tried several times at town meeting to vote on process. Got to go here before you go there, before you go there. It was not accepted. In the state law, the HDC can't do that. The planning board can't do that. The ZBA can't do that. Do we have something different in our legislation specifically related to the fact that they have to seek all of the permits before they come to us?
Yes, we are the
Okay.
only, I did extensive research into this because I know of the processes that you're talking about, and we are the only regulatory board that can compel applicants to do that because it is specifically called out in the Wetlands Protection Act. So it's a codified regulation under the state law, It requires applications to do that. And we also put that same language. I said local regulations, but it's actually in the Nantucket local wetlands bylaw. So there's two specific laws that allow us to do this. So we're well within our legal rights here. That's why we made the procedural change.
I'm very happy with that. That's pretty cool.
I am glad. Um, so other commissioners? No, we will then seek input from members of the public. I see Chris Morey on Zoom. Will, can we bring them over? And when you get brought over and it's your turn to speak, please identify yourself for the record with your name, any connection you may have to the project, and then you're welcome to say your piece.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Chris Maury, I'm the property manager for the abutter at 65 Winoma Way, Gordon and Gretchen Cooney. Linda already spoke to the fence that's coming down this property line, which may or may not be a Concom issue. I think that part of this application should show those wetland lines and those buffer lines as they go through the abutting lot, because I think there may be some impact there. Basically, right now, with the work that's been done, that line has been brush cut up to the construction of the fence. The fence is 8 foot high, 4x4 pressure treated posts spaced approximately 8 feet apart with 8 feet of wire fence. My client, the Coonies, are looking at 120 to 150 feet of exposed fence, 8 feet high, coming down that line. So I'd like to make sure that if there is an application, that what my clients would like to see is that the fence coming down that property line is addressed, as well as the fence that's facing the pond.
Thank you, Mr. Mori. The fence that comes down the property line is likely out of our jurisdictional authority to control, but it may very well be an HDC issue. So the applicants, or not the applicants, the abutters might have an ability to weigh in there. The only thing that we can really do in relation to activities that happen outside of wetlands or wetland buffer zones is to ensure that those activities don't impact wetlands or wetland buffer zones directly. So for an example, if somebody has a pool on their site outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, we can make a condition that says you can't discharge that pool into the buffer zone. But a fence is a fence, it just sits there. So, unless it's somehow causing some direct impact into that wetland, I understand it's causing neighborhood issues and aesthetic concerns and all that, but unless we can document that it's somehow causing a direct impact into the wetland, we don't really have jurisdictional authority over that. That will be within the HGC's concern.
I'm just noting that we did work on the Cooney's property at 65 Winoma Way. We filed an order of conditions, and those buffer zones, I believe, turn pretty sharp coming down that line. And I think that at least a portion of this fence may be in that the 75-foot to the 100-foot area may be impacted. And was certainly with the brush cutting that was done in order to construct the fence. Just it may be worth having the plan note those lines on the other side of that property line.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. If you have a past delineation that is still active and valid for that abutting property and you want to submit it to Will or the town staff for their review, they can see if what you're saying is indeed true, but it's not really our job to compel an applicant to delineate wetlands that aren't on their property. It's really it's their job to figure out the delineation of their property.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Did Michael Giacomo?
Yes,
Yes, go
yes,
ahead.
thank you. I wanted to speak on another matter in this section. I wasn't clear on the procedure.
A different application?
Yes,
Okay, we'll wait till that.
thanks.
Um, anyone else? Is there anyone physically present in the room? Will or commissioners, can you tell me that?
Nobody. Nope.
Okay, Linda, do you have something to add here?
Oh my God, my hand is, God, never mind.
Okay. All right,
I was so happy when I didn't have to be on Zoom anymore.
all right. So it sounds like we definitely don't have what we need to close, and we're moving towards a continuance. Before we do that, is there anything else that commissioners would like, Mr. Madden to look into that we haven't mentioned already? No?
No.
Okay. Brian, would you like to continue till January 23rd?
Yes, please. I mean, I'll look into the HGC issue and we may need to extend that a little bit further out, but yeah, let's go to the 23rd for now.
Okay, this will continue to January 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we're gonna go back to our agenda now, and before we move directly on, what I meant to do beforehand is under the notice of intent waiver required section B for the NOIs. Starting from 6 to 10, is there any commissioners who need to recuse on any of those?
Yeah,
Would,
I can't sit on 6,
okay,
110 Wallwinnet Road, and I
yeah,
can't sit on 10, 78 Pocomo Road.
okay. Anyone else? Nope. All right. So we'll move on in our agenda to Lydia Denny Palmer LLC at 110 Wallwinnet Road, SC 483868, represented by Brian Madden with Commissioner Williams recused. Brian, go ahead.
Thank you very much. For the record, Brian Madden from LEC Environmental Consultants. I will pull up the plan here. So another fence project, but this one's much shorter in segment. What is being proposed is an extension of a board fence along the northerly property boundary at 110 Wallwinnet. The westerly portion of the property is occupied by coastal dune. The FEMA flood zone elevation is elevation 9, and that intercepts and forms the top of the coastal bank that's delineated and shown on the plan, along with the 25 and 50-foot buffer zones. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit right here. So there's an existing board fence that's in a lighter gray, terminating right about here outside the 50-foot buffer zone. The proposal is to extend this board fence 36 linear feet, stopping at the 25-foot buffer zone to the top of the coastal bank. The applicants have requested a waiver for that activity. There's a fair amount of vegetation between the existing house and the northerly property boundary. But the intent of the fence is to provide some additional screening that the vegetation does not provide. The board fence has been purposely stopped at the 25-foot buffer zone to maintain wildlife migratory corridors. We have the 300-foot wide coastal dune that's provides unimpeded migration through the property along with the coastal bank. And then the 25-foot buffer zone. There's also the board fence terminates in this direction. So, well outside the 100-foot buffer zone, there is open corridor on the easterly portion of the property. The 36-foot long extension will not result in a long-term adverse effect on wildlife movement through the property. And again, the intent of the project is to provide that screening along that northerly property boundary. I guess at this point, I'll just turn it over to questions.
Thank you, Mr. Madden. Questions or comments from members of the commission?
I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead, RJ.
Thank you, Chair Engelboard. So I still think that this is, oh man, we'll just smash.
Power's back on though.
Sorry. It's been an adventure. So I just don't believe this has met the burden of proof for this waiver request, and this is one of the things in the regulatory framework that has been black and white for the commission for a long time, and we don't typically allow structures unless the structure is needed for the project to continue on the site. And so I'm not in support of this one for this waiver. Thank you.
Thank you. Other commissioners?
John, here.
I'm gonna go to Joe and then we'll do John after.
My question is, how tall is the fence extension?
Mr. Madden?
Good question. I'd have to get back to you with a definitive measurement, but it's, I think, 7 to 8 feet tall.
Thank you. I would say in general, having not only the plans, but having visual representations or schematics of structures for all projects will greatly improve the commission's ability to weigh in, especially if that structure needs a waiver. So I would say we would request a schematic for this fence as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. John, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering why they, make this small extension on a fairly, extensive fence that's already there. What they hope to gain from that, I don't understand it, I guess.
Stated claim in the notice of intent and by the applicant's representative is for screening purposes, but Mr.
Okay.
Matt, would you like to elaborate at all, or are we keeping it at that?
We'll keep it at that for now.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Seth.
Other commissioners?
Yeah, Seth, I'll wait till we see what the drawing looks like to hold my comment.
Thank
Till
you,
then.
Mike. I would say that, I'll wait for the schematic as well, but I would say that I definitely don't believe as proposed today with the information we have that this project has met the burden of proof for the no reasonable alternative, no adverse impact waiver. The adverse impact part maybe a little bit closer, but I think there's plenty of reasonable alternatives. I think some of them that were mentioned in the notice of intent as not being reasonable are more than reasonable and have been used throughout projects across Nantucket on a pretty regular basis. So that's my belief on that. Other commissioners?
Seth, I just want to pop in whenever appropriate. I have counsel for the applicant correct here.
Okay. Yes, we could recognize them as a representative for the project, so let them go ahead.
You can, if you want, come up and sit in this empty chair.
Yes, please introduce yourself for the record with your name and your connection to the project, and then you're welcome to make a comment.
Sure, thank you. Natalie Kaufman, counsel for the applicant. Brian did a great job representing this, and you can let me know. I can speak to the reasonable alternative issue. Brian is definitely more equipped to speak to the adverse impact, but I don't know if you would prefer that discussion to be after we have schematics, or that would be useful to hear now.
I would say that that is totally up to your prerogative. I'm happy to hear it either way. So if you prefer to talk about it now, go ahead. If you would like to wait, then that's fine as well.
Sure, I'll probably speak at both.
Go ahead.
This is sort of a reasonable alternative that might normally work is, for example, vegetative screening. But this has been a problem where ongoing, the abutter has continued to trim back the vegetative screening on their side of the property so that it doesn't actually create a screen anymore. And we can go into it or not go into it, but this particular extension also relates to the abutter having fire pit and patio that has a lot of activity, visibility, and noise. So this fence, there wasn't a desire by the applicant to build the fence until there was sort of this activity on the neighboring property. There's also, I believe, a dogs issue, but it's a case where things like vegetation have not been enough, and this extension at the end is in response to a particular thing. And in terms of no adverse impact, we are certainly open to recommendations on something like that, but I just wanted to give context why something like this is requested specifically.
Thank you, Ms. Kaufman, and I understand the request, and I'll just briefly reiterate that the reasonable alternative section relates to reasonable alternatives that can satisfy the interests of our regulations. And some of the things that you're mentioning, although they definitely seem disadvantageous and like neighborly issues and annoying to deal with, things that I certainly wouldn't want to deal with, may have to end up being resolved in a different forum that's not the Conservation Commission. So thank you.
Thank you. Could I quickly respond just that
Yes, go ahead.
that I believe the abutter is here to speak tonight, so I don't know how we necessarily want to handle the issue, but the neighboring fire pit and patio is in the buffer zone. So, and I know that there's, definitions of structure and what exactly that means, but just to say how that in a sense does bring it into your purview, but I hear your feedback. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're ready to go to the public. Are there any members of the public physically present in the room wishing to speak? It looks like the video for the room is off.
Let me, oh, you know what it is? Brian, if you can hear me, could you stop sharing your screen?
Oh, yeah.
I might have to select it again. I had a power issue, Seth, which is also how I concussed myself moments ago.
Sorry about that. Are you
Yeah.
okay?
We're back.
Okay.
I love
Is anyone physically present there as a member of the public wishing to speak?
Negative. Oh,
Okay.
Willa. Sorry, Seth, we have Willa coming up.
Okay. Yes, Willa, go ahead, please. Introduce yourself for the record,
Will
your
Arsenal.
connection to the project, and then go and say your piece.
Sure. Will Arsenal speaking on behalf of the Nantucket Land and Water Council. I just would like to reiterate some of the concerns that have been said. And with respect to the applicant, again, we understand that this might have to do with neighborly disputes, but in terms of adverse impacts, I think there could be adverse impacts beyond the wildlife passage, just by nature of the location of this fence, and we'd like to see more information on that as well. If more information is going to be requested.
Thank you. I think there are also additional interests that are relevant here. Again, wetland scenic views, and in this case, I hate to talk about this in the theoretical sense because it could be in the future, but extending a linear wall perpendicular to a coastal bank that may erode in the future has potential issues. I know we're far out from that, but it concerns me when we start doing things like this, moving structures closer and closer to a source of erosion. So let's go to members of the public on Zoom. I know we have one, John Walker. Let's bring them over. John, you can say your name for the record, your connection to the project, and then make your comment.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
And is it possible to share my screen? Do you have to give me permission to do that?
We do have to give you permission, and before we give you permission, we would like to request some information on why and what you're hoping.
Of course. Of course. So my name is John Walker. My wife and I own the home located at 112 Walnut with our 4 children. We are the northerly abutters. And the reason I want to share the screen is I actually don't need a schematic or a drawing of the fence because the fence was installed over 2 years ago, and it took a year for the applicant to take the fence down. So I actually have a picture of what it looks like when done, if you'd like to see that.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I'm going to decline that request for now. I'm assuming that the fence may very well be the same as what was there before, but we can't know that without a schematic from the applicant. So
understood. No
yeah.
problem.
Thank you.
I'll just send it as part of the record so you have it.
Certainly send it in to Will as part of the record.
Sure. And just to address Mrs. Coffin's comments before I give my full comments here is that the patio is a removable patio. Will and other members of the Conservation Commission have been out and approved it, and I have that in writing. So they're removable chairs. It's a removable fire pit. It's not permanent.
I don't recall approving anything that's
well, you had come
questionable.
to the property and said that my property was in compliance, and I have that.
That's what I said. I can get the email.
Okay. Well, should I continue with my comments?
Hold on one second. I think, you know, your property isn't the property that is seeking an application here. You don't need to prove anything. Your comments, let's direct the comments directly to the application in question. So
understood.
Want to go on from there, please do so.
Sure. But if I could share my screen, because I'd like to show my property and my home in relation to where the proposed fence is, which is not on the plans that were submitted.
I think because you're already submitting additional documentation to the staff, and because we're going to have to continue this hearing, please just send it all in to the staff. We'll have it be part of the record so it becomes permanent and everyone can see it. And then if it seems like something that is relevant for you to share your screen at the next meeting, we'll make that decision then.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. So again, my name is John Walker. I am my property abuts to the north of the property line of the applicants. We object to the application to extend the fence along the north property line. We likewise object to the requested waiver to extend the fence within the 50-foot buffer zone. The application palpably fails to provide a justification for the request. It likewise fails to address the adverse impacts on my family as abutting homeowners. Simply put, there's no reason for the waiver that justifies its adverse impact on us. The fence, if extended as proposed, will obstruct our views. There's a great difference between looking at a landscaping and looking at a board fence. We do not want to look at the board fence, particularly one that blocks our views. Equally as important, and as mentioned, contrary to the suggestion in the letter by Mr. Madden, the fence as extended will certainly alter the migratory patterns of those animals that frequently traverse the properties, namely deer, birds, and rabbits. There's no reasonable basis provided to allow the structural element of the fence within the 50-foot no structure buffer zone. Further, the waivers need to be justified in according to the specific provisions and regulations set by this commission. So I'm just going to highlight snippets of the Conservation Commission's own regulations. A waiver shall be granted only for the following reasons and upon the following reasons. The burden of proof to show no adverse impact to the interests identified by the bylaw of Chapter 136 Wetlands 136-2 of the Code of the Town of Nantucket. Shall be the responsibility of the owner and the applicant. And then just jumping down, and again, a snippet from the Coastal Bank 39-10. The commission finds that regulations applicable to activities involving coastal banks are necessary and proper for the following reasons. Coastal banks may serve as a source of sediment for other coastal landforms, including beaches, dunes, tidal flats, barrier beaches, and act as a vertical buffer which protects and provide wildlife habitat to common as well as rare, endangered, and otherwise significant wildlife, and to serve to provide important wetland scenic views. So that's in my letter that I submitted, but in closing, I also feel that it's worth mentioning, as I mentioned, that this proposed fence was illegally installed in May of 23 and was not removed until over a year later, as my neighbor ignored the enforcement order from this body, the Conservation Commission. I know, I lived with it and the adverse impacts for over a year. I'd also like to remind this commission that an oversized flagpole was installed within 10 feet of the coastal bank without any permission from this body or notification to the abutters. I'd like to formally ask that the flagpole be removed until proper permissioning occurs, and I respectfully request that the waiver be denied regarding the fence. Pictures of the flagpole and the fence as it exists are in the letter that I sent in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, send everything to Will. Any issues that happened in the past
Thank you, Paul.
may not be able to be dealt with under this hearing. They may need to be dealt with in enforcement, but I hear what you're saying. We just don't have any way to verify it at this point.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, other members of the public.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, seeing not, I believe we're moving towards a continuance. Commissioners, any remaining items that we want Brian to look into that we haven't said already?
Seth, RJ,
Yeah.
I now, in hearing all this, would like to do a site visit myself for the next meeting because I haven't been to the site and I didn't know all that was going on here. I was just planning on talking about that fence extension this evening, but clearly there's some other things going on here, so I'd like to visit the site before the next meeting before we discuss it again.
No
Thank you.
worries. That gives me a chance to bring up my other comment I was going to make today. We have changed the procedures for our field viewings as well. The first thing is that they're going to be on Tuesdays, so all of you who showed up on Monday, sorry, but they're on Tuesdays. The second is that they are only going to be scheduled if necessary. So commissioners, keep them on your calendar, but just as a placeholder. But Will is going to, prior to each week, tell us if we have one or not. That being said,
Can I pop in, Seth? I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna try to stop doing this tonight. I also would love it if anybody's interested in going to a site, email me, try to let me know the Friday before. Sometimes it's super helpful for all of us if I can get a representative there too. That's all, but I am gonna be marking on the inspection reports, starting next meeting, whether I'm recommending a site visit. I kind of buried them in the notes this time, so I'm gonna make it a more clear situation.
Also, as always, if you can't make the scheduled group site visit, you can contact Will to go with him whenever the two of you are available, or you can go yourself. If you do go yourself, please just be respectful and knock on the door and identify yourself as a member of the commission, but you're allowed to do that if you choose. Linda, do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, obviously not on the merits of this particular application since you haven't dispensed with it yet. I can't do Tuesdays. Why was it changed off of Monday?
We'll talk about that later, but
All right, because I can do no Tuesdays because I have HDC at 4 o'clock.
well, sorry about that, but yeah, we voted. You are actually at the vote. You voted on the procedure, so. So what we're gonna do
I was
is
actually not there, Mr. Chairman, so I did not know this one.
Yeah, you weren't at the meeting where we discussed the change, but then the procedures, the updated procedures were sent out, and you were at the meeting where we voted to
No,
vote
John's
on.
Yeah,
got.
I missed this one.
Is that not true? Okay.
No, you're right, Seth.
There you have it.
John's got his
Okay.
hand raised.
John, go ahead.
Since Brian's seems to be fortunate enough to be our procedural test rat, I'll remind my guests about the HTC permit for this fence similar to the last one.
Hold on
Sorry about that,
before you do
Brian.
that. But first of all, Mr. Madden, would you be willing to meet us for a site visit, which would be occurring on the 21st of January?
Certainly.
Okay, Will and Brian, you guys can work together to schedule that and make sure everybody knows.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then in reference to John's question about additional permits, including HGC, please enlighten us on to if you know anything about those, or if not, if you'll look into them.
I'll look into it or defer to Natalie if she has any feedback.
Okay. All right. The public hearing is still open. Mr. Walker, do you have a follow-up comment?
Yeah, since this is being continued, will we get another notification when it's going to be heard again?
No. You're gonna get your notification right now. It's gonna be continued until likely January 23rd if the applicant consents to that. So Mr. Madden, do you consent to to a continuance to January 23rd?
Yes, please.
Okay, this will continue to January 23rd. Mr. Walker, feel free to talk with staff and get the Zoom information for that meeting.
Great. And one more issue for the site visit.
Sorry. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. For the site visit on January 21st, they're most likely going to have to come onto my property. So is it appropriate for me to be there as well?
We will not be accessing your property without permission. We don't have the capacity to do that. Site visits aren't really open to the public, but I'll defer to Will and you to talk about whether that's a reasonable thing to do or
Yeah,
not.
Will's been to the property. He knows that there's no other way but to come onto my property. So
I can answer that, Seth.
Yeah, Will, go ahead.
We'll be able to go right onto the property because there's an open permit, so we can request 110's gate to be open that day for us. And we can't take comments from an abutter during a site visit on a neighboring property because we'd be breaking open meeting law, I am pretty sure.
We can't take comments from anybody at a site visit that are substantive. We can only hear basically procedural matters as to what is happening and what is being requested. So Mr. Walker, I'm going to request that you are not there and you just come on the 23rd meeting
Okay.
to voice your substantive concerns then.
Okay, then I'm also going to request that my property is not accessed.
Yes, we have no capacity to access your property. We have no interest in accessing your property. And if anyone was to access your property without your permission, we would be in the wrong. We only have access to, we only have the ability to access the property that is subject to the application.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you as well. This has been continued to January 23rd, and we'll move on in the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. So next is Powers at 36 Bassett Road, SE 48, 3871. Before we open that, I noticed that we have two number 7s listed here on the agenda. Does anyone have an issue of recusal with either of the number 7s?
Of Microsoft Word.
Okay. All right. Seeing not, Art, good evening. You're welcome to introduce the project and say your piece.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Arthur Gasparo, Nantucket Engineering, representing this notice of intent before you tonight for a residential redevelopment project on Bassett Road out in Quays. And what we're proposing to do is make some modifications to the existing structure, to install some retaining walls, some hardscape and some landscape, a small addition to the house, and upgrade the septic system to innovative alternative technology. The resource area in the vicinity of the work is a border and vegetated wetland located on the opposite side of to the east of Bassett Road. And so we've got an existing traveled way between the resource area and the work which is proposed. We have requested a waiver for a portion of the retaining walls that are proposed within the 50-foot buffer zone. We believe that that is there's two bases within the regulations to justify that waiver. One is that we are on the opposite side of that road, which is not in the control of the project owner or the applicant, specifically that aforementioned dirt traveled way. And then secondly, we are also removing a portion of deck within the 50-foot buffer zone. And so we've done a comparison for the square footage of the deck that's being removed compared to the retaining wall that's being installed. And it represents a reduction. And so I believe that there would be a long-term net benefit and that there's not any adverse impact on the interests protected by the commission. Again, an existing residential use property that would remain such, plus the upgrade of the IA septic system. And with that, I'd be happy to address any questions or concerns should you have them.
Thank you, Mr. Gasparo. I'm aware that given the activities on this application, it'll need Board of Health approval and HGC approval and potentially others. Could you update us on whether those things have been applied for or obtained?
I can't speak to HDC. Working with Chip Webster Architects on this project, and so I'm not sure the status of their filings with that. And I have not made the application to the Board of Health yet, but I will be.
Thank you. So just for your record, we'll be unable to close this until those have either been obtained or applied for. They can be in process, but we can't close until we do that.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. But I'll I'll request a continuance, subject to hearing any other questions or comments that I might need to answer.
Yeah.
And I will get the application into the Board of Health.
Yeah, thank you. We will go to commissioners. This is probably going to trip people up for a little while now, but any applicants, representatives who are on the call and listening now, we're going to be pretty serious about this. So please have all your permits applied for or obtained before you go to the Concom, because the Concom voted to update the procedures to require that. Okay, commissioners, questions or comments?
Seth,
RJ, go ahead.
thank you through the chair. This one again, I kind of feel as though I'm becoming a broken record this evening with saying that unless the lot cannot be built on, building within and putting structures within the 50-foot no build has been a pretty standard practice for the commission not to allow it unless it's absolutely needed. And I don't know that this has met the burden of proof again for that, for alternatives. And so that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. So here's the interesting part of this application. They're not seeking a waiver request under the section that asks for no adverse impacts, no reasonable alternatives. So they're not required to provide any information on reasonable alternatives. They're seeking a waiver request under two sections. The first is for the long-term net benefit. And the second is for the control of the resource area being off the property or within a semi-pedestrian, semi-public pedestrian way. So it's our job to determine if those waiver requirements apply. I personally think the one that they are requesting in B applies. That's the commission may grant a waiver from these regulations when portions of the buffer zone between the proposed project and adjacent resource area are previously altered and are not within the control of the project owner slash applicant, such as public or semi-public pedestrian or vehicular access ways. That's my personal opinion. And the other waiver request that they're asking for is the long-term net benefit. It's still with the burden of proof is still on the applicant to show a long-term net benefit exists on site. They mention some information to that in their notice of intent, and Mr. Gasparo mentioned some more in his oral testimony today. But if we feel like that is not sufficient, we can certainly request more information. RJ, does that satisfy your concerns?
I was mistaken. I'm gonna have to look at B.
Okay.
But I do not see a long-term net benefit for
I was
the other
gonna
one.
add one.
All right.
Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I'm go to Will, and then I see Art raise his hand.
My super quick note for the long-term net benefit, and I mean, my personal feeling is I agree at any time we're moving to, I believe this one had an innovative alternative system proposed for the septic. I mean, I'd make the argument that that's a benefit over whatever's there. Whether, you know, whether the whole project is a benefit, I believe that's the part that's being claimed for the long-term net benefit,
Yeah.
but I don't want to speak
Yeah.
for our, obviously.
Yeah, it's within commissioners' discretion to decide
For sure.
whether that's a long-term net benefit or not. But yeah, Mr. Gasparo, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to note that I did include on the site plan in the upper left-hand corner, the calculation of the change of the deck area for the existing and proposed wall. So I didn't want it to just think that it was just oral. That is codified on the plan for you. And I would just say that I agree that the waiver on the basis of all the opposite side of the road is really the stronger of the points. But I think that when we look at these applications and waivers, you also I believe it's within the discretion of the commission to look at them in aggregate. And so I think that both really apply here. And I'm not saying that the overall project is but you know, a long-term net benefit as much as that when you're looking at the portion that requires the waiver with respect to the structural elements, there's an improvement there. So again, I think it is somewhat subjective and up to you, but I wanted to try to explain my rationale of the approach with the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gasparo. And yes, I maybe didn't say it, but I understand that there's the numerical calculation and notice of intent. And to clarify one point that he said, it's totally within the commission's discretion to grant any, all, or no waivers. We can grant things that they don't even apply for. If they applied for these two waivers and we decide that neither of them are relevant and we want to grant another one, we can do that. If they apply for waivers that we think are not relevant, we can not grant them. That's entirely within our purview. So it's up to us as commissioners to decide on that. We're not going to have to do it tonight because this will have to continue. But before we do that, we're going to seek other comments from commissioners and then members of the public. So commissioners, any other comments?
John,
John, go ahead.
Yeah, I see the long-term benefit of removing 50 foot of deck structure permanently from the buffer zone. But does that offset then the adding 40 more feet of retaining wall in the buffer zone? Yeah. So if we go down that road, is that a slippery slope where you just take one out and put one back? I don't know. That's kind of what I have to come down.
Thank you, John. And you're gonna have to decide because, we purposely have these waiver requirements be broad in the regulation so that commissioners can weigh in on each specific project um, and the merits of each application. Uh, I mean, it's not a numerical calculation. There's obviously some benefits, there's obviously some downsides. It's up to each commissioner to make an assessment of whether the benefits outweigh the downsides and whether they'll do that in the long term. If you think yes, we're going to ask you if you want to apply the waiver or not. Then ultimately we're going to ask everybody. And if a majority of people want to apply it, we'll apply it. And if they don't, then we won't. That's how this process goes. So other commissioners?
That, like,
Yes, Mike, go ahead.
So I'm gonna request that I appreciate Art's calculations, but request that we also move this to the to the site view. I mean, I think it's wise with anything going into the 50-foot buffer. It shouldn't take us long. It's pretty cut and dry, but for commissioners that do want to see it, it'd be helpful.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Gasparo, are you available on the 21st of January and willing to meet us out on the site for a visit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And do you have another comment?
Nope, just I'll request a continuance whenever you are ready.
We still have to go to the public unless any other commissioners want to weigh in. But if not, is there any members of the public wishing to weigh in? I don't see anyone on Zoom. Is there anyone there in the room?
None in the room, sir.
Okay, then you'd like to continue to the 23rd?
Yes, please.
This will continue to the 23rd.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. And next, we have Thank You, Aline, Nominee Trust at 3 Wires Way, SC 483876, represented by Art Gasparo. Go again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an application and it's really tied to the next application. There was one property that had been subdivided, but there's a lot of similarities. There's an overlapping structure. And
Okay.
so
before you continue, would you like to open both at the same time?
If you're okay with that, Mr. Chairman, I think it might save the commission some time, and I used one plan. I think that there's a lot of synergies there.
I am okay with it, and we'll use my authority as chair to open both this and 3WW Nominee Trust at 3B Wires Way, SC 483877 at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So these applications are for residential redevelopment and residential development. And there is existing order of conditions for the development of both of these properties that had approved the removal of the existing structures, demolition or removal in their entirety. The ownerships have since changed and they're in two different ownerships now. And the southerly lot is going to keep one of the existing structure and garage, and they're gonna relocate them as shown on the plan, as opposed to demolishing them and building all new. So ultimately, if these orders are issued, the work hadn't begun under the existing orders, we would request that certificates of compliance on those for work not having commenced. The wetland resource area is along the westerly boundary, which is a border and vegetated wetland previously reviewed and approved. And what we're proposing is that along the 25-foot buffer zone, a split rail fence, which is shown in magenta on the plan, would be approved. Would be installed. And then we have preserved 50% of the area which right now is all, currently lawn area, right up to the wetland. And then included with the application is a planting plan prepared by Shampoo Landscape, which would be a restoration using native species of that area, such that we not only establish a 25-foot no disturb zone along the 25-foot buffer, but that there would be additional mitigation plantings and restoration such that 50% of the buffer zone between the 25 and 50-foot buffer becomes essentially naturalized and not maintained area. We have requested a waiver. There's high groundwater at this property. There is a monitoring well that we've been reading for some time, and we've used that to establish a seasonal high groundwater elevation. And we're proposing to put the bottom of the footings at the highest groundwater that we've observed over time, such that we're requesting the waiver for the 2-foot separation distance, but that we wouldn't actually be within the groundwater elevation. And we believe that on that basis there would be no adverse impact. So we really don't. The waivers requested for no reasonable alternative. The only other option, really, I think, for alternatives would be some kind of driven type of a foundation, which would then end up, because of frost protection, putting those elements into the groundwater. And so we believe that this would be the preferred alternative to protect the interests protected by the commission. And there are pools that are proposed at the property, but they are outside of the commission's jurisdiction, as you can see on the plan. And the proposed structural elements all are proposed outside of the 50-foot buffer zone. The property will be served by town water and town sewer. And so I believe that that would mitigate any concerns with on-site wastewater loading. I think that overall it also does represent a net benefit, given the removal of existing lawn area and the restoration species. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions or concerns on the application.
Thank you, Art. Has this gone to HGC or any other permits that maybe
I
need?
am going to check with the owner right now. Again, I'm going to have to get used to that. I don't know, but
That's
I'll
fine.
check as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
Okay. Commissioners, questions or comments?
Seth.
Yes, RJ, go ahead.
So first, I mean, appreciate it. Thank you, Art, through the chair, but I don't actually think we need to grant a waiver if it's not going into seasonal high groundwater, if it's just up against it. And then I just wanted to ask the purpose of that split rail fence through the chair. Thank you.
I'm gonna chime in first. We do need to grant a waiver because it's in the 2-foot separation distance to seasonal high groundwater, even if it's not in the seasonal high groundwater.
Oh, I missed it.
Still
Okay.
need a waiver from that. And then Art, go ahead with the answer to the fence.
I'd be happy to remove the fence. I think that was a remnant of the previous application that perhaps came out of the discussion with the commission. I think the idea is that it helped to delineate that 25-foot zone from any unintentional intrusion. We would be completely at the commission's will on that. Happy to put it in if you'd rather not see it. The purpose really was establishing the no disturb zone.
Thank you. I could go either way. We could remove it, keep it, or do something a little bit less intrusive, like 1 or 2 permanent markers, but we can deal with that in orders of conditions, unless any commissioners feel strongly about this. I mean, ultimately, if you want to remove it from the plan, it's your application, so you're welcome to remove it from the plan. Okay. Any other commissioners?
Seth,
Yep, Mike, go ahead.
yeah, posted rail fence is fine by me. I don't love the grass strip up the middle, which we do have some jurisdiction over, but we could still condition it to say, well, we're gonna condition it to say no fertilizer, and I don't know if we could condition that to, or we care about that being irrigated in there. Grass strips always take, some attention, and then, it's easy to get outside of our regulations with that on there. So I guess that would be a consideration if they're really, in love with that grass strip up the middle.
You're talking about the proposed driveway, this grass
Yeah,
in
the
that?
proposed driveway, that's what.
Okay, yeah, Art, feel free to chime in.
Thank you. I think that it perhaps might just be if you would prefer that we don't have the grass strip, I'm sure we could do away with it, no problem.
That's just my, and other commissioners, it's at their discretion.
I personally feel that vegetation is always more permeable than gravel or whatever is proposed, but I don't really care enough to make a big deal about it. Uh, yeah, Art, go ahead.
I would just say I haven't heard back from the owner, and they didn't actually send me HTC application plans. So once you're all set, if you feel better, if according to these new procedures, policies, we need to request a continuance so that we can make sure we get that taken care of. Once you're all set, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. And it sounds like there might be some minor plan changes anyway, so we'll probably be doing that. But unless commissioners have other, yeah, Linda, go ahead.
Just a couple of notes here. HDC doesn't require a building permit or an application for a split rail fence outside the old historic district. So we keep that in mind. Second, Mike said post and rail. Post and rail is an entirely different fence. It's a round rail. Having been a lifelong rider, it's a round rail fence. The split rails, the standard 2-line split rails, doesn't need HDC approval. Are we going to be holding people up on the hardscape part of it, or just structures and pools is considered a structure? Because the HCC does have to approve hardscaping, but not split rail fences outside the old historic district. So just sort of keep that in mind when we're asking for these things.
Yeah, our new regulations treat patios and other hardscaping as structures. The old regulations, which this application was submitted on, don't really treat them as structures in most cases. So you are going to see a change over time in that. It's not our job to determine what the HGC or any other board's purview is. The question that we're just going to ask everybody is, have you applied for or received any or all applicable local permits? It's up to them to really do the due diligence on that. But, if we're obviously aware that one applies, we're going to mention it.
Okay, because just keep in mind that sometimes it does not need HDC.
Yeah, if it doesn't and they come back and they say it doesn't, then that's fine. But it's up to them to tell us that. Okay, we're gonna go to the public. Michael Giamo, please introduce yourself for the record. Any connection you may have to the public, and then you're welcome to make a comment.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Michael Giamo. I'm the abutter directly to the north of this property. And I had a number of comments just based on the information I got.
Michael, what's the address?
That's 54 Westchester.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So my property drains south. It drains towards the wetlands, and on the site plan that the engineer has up, it would be the upper left-hand corner. It drains to that corner of the property. And one thing I notice about this is the great change in topography. There's almost 3 feet of fill that's going to go in on this entire site. That will make it about 3 feet higher than my property at that part of the, at that northerly property line where they're putting a retaining wall in at an 18 foot elevations. So it's really creating a dam for the surface water. I don't know how much of a footing that retaining wall is going to have, but that is going to have some impact on water flow towards the wetlands and also backup and drainage on my property. It's already seasonally wet in that area. I have pictures of standing water, not on the day of a rain, the day after a rain on that side of the property, of the applicant's property. So it is wet. The groundwater is close to the surface, as they've already discussed. And I don't see anything in this application package with any kind of drainage design or any kind of information about how they're going to handle that issue. There's also in the narrative, it says there's groundwater elevation data. I didn't see that when I asked for a copy of the application packet. I didn't see that, and I don't know if that was filed. And I didn't see a hydrostatic analysis, which I know your new regulations say would be needed to support this waiver request. I think even if it's not technically required, it's prudent. And that's why you made the regulatory change. Doesn't mean you can't require it. But I'd kind of like to know if there's going to be a problem with water draining from my property based on the fill and the foundation for this big new house right next to the property line. So that's just some information that I think would be helpful to assessing the wetlands impacts here, and would also give me some comfort in terms of impacts to my property from the groundwater flow and surface water flow standpoint.
Thank you, Michael, and we'll let Art respond to any of those questions. But before we do, I'll just let you know it's totally within our purview to require applicants to contain all floodwater on site. So we could, in our orders of condition, require subsurface infiltration or anything else we found necessary to deal with runoff. So
yeah, my concern though is a little bit different. It's that the water now flows to their property and over their property and towards the wetlands. So even if they can control all the water that lands on their property, they're not accepting the water that the property now accepts from my property on the way to the wetland.
Understood. Mr. Gasparo, do you want to respond to any of these questions or comments?
Yes, I think since we will be continuing, I'll have a closer look at that, and perhaps offline I can connect with Mr. Giamio, and see what we can work out there.
Yeah, I would be happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that would probably be prudent. And I just will say right now, their property might be doing a service by essentially receiving the water from your property, but actually you're responsible for dealing with the water on your property, and they're responsible for dealing with the water on their property. So maybe when you talk, you could figure out some creative neighborhood solutions, but their change to not accept water coming from a neighboring property, there's nothing we can really do about that.
I'd still like to try to work it out. Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure.
And I think there is a direct wetland impact too. I mean, it's a natural flow situation. We're not pumping anything.
I understand.
This is
Yeah,
rainwater that for thousands of years has flowed across the property to the wetlands. And
thank you. And Mr. Gasparo, and you can talk and figure it out. So other members of the public wishing to weigh in? Seeing none. Commissioners, anything else to add? Okay. Art, would you like to continue to the 23rd?
I would, and I would just like to extend an invitation, Ms. Giamo. It sounds like you have the application materials, and my email address is in there. If you want to send me an email, then we can connect that way, please, through you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, that's fine.
great, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we would like to continue both applications, please.
Sorry, this is late, but I see a hand raised from Giles Birch. Do you have a comment specifically related to these applications? If so, let's bring them over and let them comment.
Just gotta hit the button, sorry. All good.
Okay, hi. I'm Giles Birch. I am one of the owners of the vacant area to the east. And I just wanted to ask for Art's email also.
Okay. Uh, Art, I don't know if you have a way
Sure,
to.
it's art, A-R-T at nantucketengineer.com. Otherwise, I'm also, if you Google Nantucket Engineering, you get my number, and I'd be more than happy to discuss this with the butters.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And if you have any concerns or can't find it, our staff, Will's email is listed on the Town of Nantucket Conservation Commission's website, and he'll put you in touch with Art as needed. Okay.
Thank you.
I think we're all set there, so we will be continuing this application to January 23rd. Thank you, Art.
Thank
And
you.
that will move us, or both of these applications, I should say, till January 23rd. And that will move us on to 72 Pocomo Nominee Trust at 72 Pocomo Road. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 72 Pocomo Nominee Trust at 72 Pocomo Road, SC 48 3878. Represented by Art Gasparo. Art, go again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Similar to the last application, this is at your discretion, but these are two abutting property owners that are working together. And if you and the projects are essentially exactly the same. If you wanted to take them together, if you'd rather have them be separate, I leave that to you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I did see that, and I think it would be prudent to open this and Seven Pines LLC at 78 Pocomo Road, SE 48 3879 together. So we'll open both of those. Art, go ahead and
All right, if
Thank
that's the
you.
case, Mr. Chairman, I have a conflict with 78, so I won't sit on either one of them then.
would you like to sit on 72? Because we can hear them individually.
I'm
if
all
you
right.
want.
I don't want to interfere with that. Just let them do both, and I'll just step off both of them because 78 is my conflict.
Okay, we'll open both of them with Commissioner Williams recused for both.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm before you tonight with an application for a stabilized fiber roll array along the base of the eroding coastal bank along both of these properties. There is an existing sand drift fence, which they've the owners have tried to help use to establish a foredune along the base of the bank there. And we would propose to remove that fence and install the reinforced fiber roll array. It's of the same configuration that the commission has approved in the past at other locations, including on the abutting property to the north. We would maintain sand nourishment and cover over the fiber rolls, and this would allow us to vegetate the bank above the fiber rolls. There's currently some bare areas and sporadic vegetation, and so our goal is to establish a vegetated bank along this area and improve that habitat along that bank. Our construction access would be on site at number 72. There's an existing path there, and the coastal bank gets all the way down, so that's only a couple feet high that we can get on down there. And then as if needed, we also could access the beach with larger equipment at the northern end of Pocomo Road. There you could drive down onto the beach there. So we would anticipate that the sand nourishment would happen on site for regular deliveries. And again, this is very similar to what exists along several other properties in Pocomo, and I think has proven to be successful in establishing that vegetated bank. And I think that having that bank be vegetated has proven to be a benefit to the interest protected by the commission. And with that, I'd be happy to address any additional questions or concerns that you might have.
Thank you, commissioners. Questions or comments?
On.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Art, this set of stairs that's being relocated, is that like a platform or a deck there before you get on the stairs? Is that what that is?
Yes, sir. And we would just move, the applicant would propose to move that just to the south.
Move it
So it
over.
exists, but they're gonna move it southerly.
Okay, great, thanks.
Other commissioners?
I have a question
Yes, go ahead.
through the chair to Art. Do you know if this core log material has the monofilament that's running the length of it the way some of the other projects we've permitted has?
I don't believe so, but I could double check that. You mean for, if I may, through you, Mr. Chairman, for identification purposes or for, there had been in earlier versions, some maybe 10 years ago on some of these, there had been talk of using a monofilament to identify any particular lost materials. That had morphed or changed into using stainless tags, which is what we would do. We would tag all of the rolls. So I don't think there's a monofilament unless you're looking for it for some reason.
No, I prefer going forward when we do the core logs, permit the ones that don't have the monofilament in them, so that when they do break apart, we don't have more microplastic, essentially fishing line going on the beach. I know we've talked about it before, but that'd be my only question. I'd much prefer the tags. Thank you.
Thank you, RJ. We can certainly condition that however we like. We can condition tags being required, and we can condition COAR to not contain any type of monofilament or plastic material, however we see fit. Other commissioners? All right, my turn to chime in. So it's been my opinion for quite a long time now that this type of array should be considered a coastal engineering structure. On some other permit discussions, the commission tended to agree that COAR role may be considered a coastal engineering structure, but it's an informal agreement because we've still not permitted any projects that say that. So we do have to go through the process to determine whether, as a commission, we believe the application as proposed meets the burden of proof for being a coastal engineering structure. And I would like to do that now. Commissioners, thoughts, questions?
Can we pull up the definition?
Sure. I figured you'd want it.
Thank you.
No worries. So there's going to be two definitions that are important here. The first is what the definition of structure is, and then the second is what the definition of structure coastal engineering is. Structure in our current regulations, or not the new regulations, the regulations that this was applied for, that were in effect until the first of this year. Structure says a combination of materials assembled at a fixed location to give support or shelter, such as a building, framework, retaining wall, platform, bin, radio antenna mast, or the like. The term structure may also be applied to appurtenances that are constructed of impervious surfaces, such as but not limited to swimming pools, recreational courts, roads, parking areas, parking lots, driveways, etc. Drainage basins, split rail fences, septic tanks, subsurface propane tanks, and signs are not structures. The word structure shall be construed where the context requires as though followed by the words or part or parts thereof. So that's what a structure is. And then a structure, coastal engineering, is any structure intended or constructed so as to prevent or alleviate storm damage or modify tidal action, wave action, littoral flow, or erosion. Examples of these structures may include, but are not limited to, any bulkhead, revetment, seawall, riprap, groin, jetty, artificial seaweed, geotextile fabric, plastic sheeting, multiple rows of fencing, or other as determined by the commission. So our first job here is to determine, does this meet the definition of a structure? If no, then we proceed. If yes, then we have to determine, does it meet the definition of a coastal engineering structure? So commissioners, feel free to weigh in. Joe, go ahead.
My issue, which I have raised before, is that the Commonwealth, nowhere can I find a core role being classified as a CES. And us doing it seems a little out of character. You would think that would apply to the entire Commonwealth.
Thank you, Joe, but I'll remind you that the purpose that the reason that DEP gave local conservation commissions the ability to enact local regulations is because each municipality is different, and our regulations and our circumstances are quite different than many other places. If you just use the rhetoric that you mentioned and you applied it to our new regulatory update that just went into effect on January 1st, we just did a bunch of stuff that no one else in the Commonwealth has in their regulations. So I take your point, but we certainly could determine that this is a structure or coastal engineering structure on the basis of the local regulations only and not on the basis of the Wetlands Protection Act. And that would be fine. We would just issue two different permits that had the performance standards for both, which the staff is more than capable of doing. Other commissioners?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's that?
Mike.
Mike, go ahead.
So, I mean, just for consistency in the past, I've talked about structure, because sand passes through them, I didn't see them as structures, but I could see the coastal engineering structure, provided under the local wetland, provided we permit it or waiver it correctly. I should know what that is, but I don't.
Thank you. Yeah, my point on why this meets, I personally think it meets the coastal engineering structure classification. My point is pretty basic because it is a combination of materials at a fixed location that provides support. Its purpose is to provide support. So it meets the structural component and it meets the coastal engineering structure component because it's meant to alleviate storm damage, modify tidal action, wave action, and erosion. So I know the state might disagree with that, but our local regulations to me are plainly in support of this being a coastal engineering structure. But other commissioners who haven't spoke yet, please weigh in.
Seth,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah, to me, this is a combination of assembled materials providing support to the bank. And I mean, in looking at coastal engineering structures, it's definitely more significant than artificial seaweed if we consider that a coastal engineering structure. So I'd be in agreement that it is a coastal engineering structure.
Yeah, I mean, we also listed multiple rows of fencing as a coastal engineering structure. Like you put 2 rows of snow fencing, that's a coastal engineering structure. I can't see how this is less substantive than that. John, thoughts?
Yeah, I think it meets both definitions clearly, so I don't think there's much argument to be made there.
Okay, so at least 3 commissioners, which is the majority sitting tonight, feel that this is a coastal engineering structure. So that being said, Art, do you have some information on the building history of this site, whether the buildings are
They're
pre.
not.
Okay. So I'm going to direct you to decide how you want to proceed with any type of potential waiver request or other information being submitted.
We did request a waiver on the basis that it would result in a long-term net benefit. We focused on the improved stability of the bank. But I think at this point, I'm hearing that your concern is related to the definition as a CES. And we should probably continue this. And we're looking at this as a bioengineered alternative, much like as laid out in the CZM and Smart Coast documents. And I've heard your point with respect to the definitions. So once I think we've heard all the comments, we'll probably continue and try to get you some additional information to build out our position on that.
Thank you. Yeah, and it is a little bit of a tricky scenario here because I understand the intent is to have a nature-based solution, but it still may be a nature-based solution and meet the definition of a coastal engineering structure based on our local regulations, which could be annoying for applicants or applications, but we have to permit things correctly here. Commissioners, any other thoughts, comments, questions about the project generally?
Seth, Mike, again,
Yes, go ahead.
I just think it's a good project to be done, and with the choir rolls, they're doing it responsibly, so we just have to get to the final version.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're gonna seek input from members of the public. Is there anyone physically there in the room wishing to speak?
No.
Anyone on Zoom?
No, sir.
Okay. Seeing not, all right, would you like to continue to January
Yeah,
23rd?
yes, please. I'll get you some additional information.
Thank you. This will continue till, both of these applications will continue till January 23rd.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. All right, and that will move us on in the hearing. That is our last notice of intent for tonight. We'll be moving on to amended orders of condition. We're going to be doing the amended orders of condition that don't require a waiver. We're going to be doing these as a block. So those are 88 Pocomo LLC, 88 Pocomo Road, SE 483506, and Morgan 24A New Lane, SE 483621. Any commissioners need to recuse on either of those?
Read those again, Mr. Chairman. I'm trying to figure, oh, there they are. 88 Pocomo.
88 Pocomo and 24A New Lane.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Anyone else? Any commissioners wish to open those to hear the substantive material on them? Any members of the public wish to open them for further discussion? Seeing not, is there a motion to close the hearing on those two amended close the hearing on those two amended orders of conditions and issue those amended orders of conditions?
I'll second.
We're gonna take Joe and then RJ for the second by roll call vote. RJ Turcott.
Aye.
Mike Mizzarelli.
Aye.
John Schaefer.
Aye.
Joe Plandowski.
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. Those are closed and issued. And the other amended order that requires a waiver has been continued. So we're going to go on to the public meeting now. And we're going to be starting with orders of conditions, which we have quite a few of. Will, you can take over here and direct the show for a little bit.
Yes, sir. So we are going to start with 8 Lavender Lane. What's that? Lavendar Lane. Where it's just opening. And if you guys will remember, this is a holdover from last week. Let me just fix this. This is terrible.
Can you share it on the screen for everybody?
Yeah, it was just wildly sized. I moved it over to the monitor. All right, so. I just keep talking, no one will notice how long this takes.
Yeah, just kill
keep
time, just.
Talking. All right.
Well, the whole point of the first part of it, the agenda, is so we didn't go through this agonizing thing.
This is the fun part. All right, so Lavender Lane. The order permits the proposed construction of a cottage, pool, patio, cabana, utilities, and grading within buffer zone to a coastal bank, dune, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. This was a wavered project. If you'll remember, a bunch of my stuff got saved over incorrectly last meeting. This was one of those. So we had 1819, and then we had our pool and lighting conditions. And oh, this is a waiver on this. Through you, Seth, is Brian still here by any chance?
Yes. Do you have a clarifying question for Mr. Madden?
Yeah, I just want to double check. Brian, was this a waiver project?
Yeah, we there was some work activity within the 25-foot buffer zone to the top of the coastal bank associated with the decommissioning of the existing septic tank and then revegetating that area.
All right, we're gonna write that super quick. Because
we are required to, so
yeah, I don't want to, we can't hit the 21-day limit, but give me one moment. That's 60 squad. Yeah, I know. You'll see. It'll make sense momentarily. Brian, that was for work within 25 for the septic to remove the structural elements in a septic system, right?
The 25-foot buffer zone of the coastal bank. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Just cooking that up very quickly. Just so nobody gets scared, I'm only about 30 seconds out. All right, so you won't see this on the screen yet. I'm gonna copy and paste it as I am speaking. But we have waivers are required to 390-10B for the proposed removal of structural elements within 25 feet of the coastal bank, as well as removal of septic components. The commission finds no reasonable alternative exists for the proposed project. Therefore, the commission grants a waiver under 393F3A. And that's being applied to this waiver. It should be on the screen now. We didn't lose Seth, did we?
Don't see him.
Okay. So I don't know if you could hear me, Seth, but the waiver should be on there now.
Yep, it looks fine.
What's that? No, Seth, sorry, or Brian's hand is raised, but
Okay, yeah, Mr. Mann, go ahead.
Yeah, just to clarify, there's no removal of structural elements. It's just the septic components. So,
misheard you there, Brian. Sorry about that.
no worries.
Septic components. And then once that's in there, Seth, if we need anything else applied, but
I'm good, but other commissioners want anything?
anybody else?
Scroll back up. Yeah, so the ongoings for pools are in there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, these aren't ongoing though. It's an NO.
Continuing.
We can talk about it later.
Wait,
Don't worry.
how does that work?
If it's a COC and you're closing a COC, then you have ongoing. These are conditions on the permit.
Oh,
And then we
yeah.
For
continue.
3 years.
It was semantics. It's okay. It's,
They will be ongoing.
they will be ongoing. But for the life of the permit, obviously. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to issue as amended?
So move.
Absolutely. This is gonna be torture.
All right, we got Mike and Linda for the second. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plendowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Ingeborg, aye. That carries unanimously. Let's go on to the next one.
All right, our next,
Oh, God.
making sure we've actually closed. So Village Way, holdover from last week, 2 weeks ago. It's just shadows. Got Village Way, Harborfront Realty Trust, the order permits the proposed removal and relocation of existing beach stairs at Village Way within coastal bank, dune and beach and land subject to coastal storm flowage. A waiver is not required for this project as proposed. We had NHESP and we received NHESP. Conditions 18 and 19 applied, and that is it. We have anything else from anybody?
Thank you. I think going forward, you can just put it up and let commissioners read it on their own, and then we can see if there's any questions.
I'll make a
But
motion to issue.
okay, does anyone have any questions or comments before that? Seeing not, is there a second to the motion? Thank you, Joe.
Second.
By roll call vote, Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plendowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Ingeborg, aye. That carries unanimously. And the next one is 49 No Bidder LLC.
I'm gonna verify that these are actually identical, but if they are,
God.
we may
You want
be
to
able
do
to.
49 and 51 together?
Yes,
Okay, let's do that.
Linda, that's not an oh my God, that's a you're welcome.
Yeah, Linda, let's
That's
please,
only one.
Linda, please maintain appropriate decorum for this meeting. We're getting through this a lot faster than we would have if we had the other procedures, so let's just get it done.
We just have so many that wanted to sort of avoid the end of the year
Just
thing.
wasting time right now.
All right, well, let's get it up on the screen and move forward.
49 Nobodier and 51 as well. And if you'd like to read through yourselves, can you guys read that?
Yep, this one's for 49. Everyone read through it, and then we'll read through the one for 51. Okay, put
Yeah.
51 up.
And I just wanted to mention too, condition 20 was what we held over for.
Yes, thank you. Although that's not actually the section, but
Oh, it's noted.
it's
from the-
390.
I can easily fix that too. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make staff comment relating to that at the end of the meeting as well.
Yeah.
And then.
Okay, then put 51 up, and then if no commissioners have questions, comments, or changes, then we'll vote to approve both. Okay, thank you. The same thing with the editing the section, but any commissioner wish to weigh in on anything?
Make a motion to approve, to issue both of them.
Okay, is there a second?
51 and 49.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Joe. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mizrahi,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Bill Pondowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. Those are both issued by unanimous consent.
9 Cow Pond.
Yep.
I remember this.
Oh,
He was here last week. He represented it himself.
yeah, but did it ever get close?
It did. He needed a DEP number, so
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, put it up.
word work.
Commissioners, read through that, and if you have any comments, say them.
Make a motion.
Not-
I make a motion.
Is there a second to that motion? Thank you,
Second.
Joe. By roll call vote. RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mizrahi,
Aye.
John Schaefer, Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously.
That one. I can't sit on the next one.
Okay, the next one. Yep. Yeah, now we're into this meeting's agenda, and I have these covered. So we have 46 Westmont Common LLC with Commissioner Williams recused.
Just had the lighting condition additional on this one.
Do we have a file number for this? Because it's not filled in.
What's that, Seth?
The file number, it's not filled in.
Oh, yes, we do, sorry. The file number is 3863. This one before we have.
Okay, while he does that, any other comments or questions from commissioners? Is there a motion to issue as drafted?
So moved.
Joe got you, but we'll get you the second. Thank you, RJ. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mizzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Hi.
Seth Engelberg, aye. Let him do the next one, guys, so he feels good about himself.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is gonna be Porter, 60 Squam Road, SC 48, 3847. And Commissioners Schaefer and Mizzarelli are recused. Will, can we get this up on the screen?
It's pretty clunky. It doesn't need to be this clunky. I would like to petition Zoom to be better. Anyway, here's 60 Squam.
Okay. Anyone have any additions, questions, comments? RJ, would you like to make a motion to issue the order of conditions as
So
drafted?
moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Linda. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Hi.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Eggenborg, aye. That carries with Commissioners Mizzarelli and Schaefer recused. And we'll be moving on to Donahue, 26 Gosnold Road, SC 48 3860. And we'll try
By
to
the
get that
way, that
screen.
one at the bottom that says William O'Brien, she's a lot prettier than Bill.
I can't see her, but I'll take Linda's word for it.
Because Bill is a guy and she's a girl on this picture. I don't think Bill is segued.
All right, let's
Oh,
stop
yeah.
the commentary.
There we go. The usual. Got it.
Cool
All
lighting.
right. Yep,
Yep.
got
Got it.
everyone sees this one. It's for
Yeah,
the pool
I'll make
condition.
I'll make a motion to approve our issue.
Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Fixing the DUP number.
Okay,
But it's in the footnote. That's not
thank
real.
you, Linda, for the motion. Is there a second? Thank you, Joe.
It's 3862.
By roll call vote,
6-0.
RJ Turcott,
So
Aye.
Mike Mizzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Hi.
Linda Williams,
aye.
Seth Ingberg, aye. That carries unanimously. And now we'll move on to Nantucket Oaks LLC and 99 Low Beach Road, SC 48 3862. And we'll get that on the screen if you can. All right, commissioners, we'll scroll through this slowly. Commissioners, or we can see the whole screen. Commissioners, read through that and see if you have any comments, questions, additions.
Can I
If not-
add something? Is that
Yeah,
legal?
go
I'd
ahead.
like to add the lighting condition.
You can't add the lighting condition, but if there is a commissioner who would like to add a lighting condition, please
Add the lighting condition.
Thanks, John, for
add it in.
Got it, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Cause I meant to, or somewhere else.
Anything else, commissioners,
Motion to issue.
as amended?
Yep.
Is there a second to that?
Second, by Mike.
Yep, Mike, thank you for the second.
Thanks.
We have the motion made and seconded. We're gonna try to wait till Will gets that up on the screen.
Hopefully I'm still sharing, but there you
Good.
go.
There you go. By roll call vote, Archie Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. And next is Hotty Toddy LLC at 76A Matticat Road, SE 483861. And we'll get that on the screen when he's ready.
I wish these things popped on the screen when I was ready, but
When he's able, I guess.
yeah, they usually come up long after I'm ready. It's Hotty Toddy 76A. And don't get tripped up like I did. This was a pool cabana, not a pool, and there's already a permitted pool with pool conditions.
A cabana.
Will got confused for a second.
Motion to issue.
Commissioners, any comments, questions, concerns? Okay, there's a motion made by Linda and a second by who?
Second.
By RJ, by roll call vote. RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. And next, we have
166.
166 Cliff Road, SE 483864. We'll get this up when he's able, and we'll go from there.
Hey, I could probably do that. All right. Just take a picture of that.
Scroll through
Here.
it to let the commissioner see.
66 Cliff.
All right, everyone, take a few seconds to read that. Any comments, questions, concerns? If
Motion
not,
to issue.
thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Joe. By roll call, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. And next is Lowell at 5 Ackermuck Way. And this is an NAN only number, which Will, do you have that number for us?
Yes, sir. It is NAN-141. We I'm gonna add that into the order, but we get these so infrequently that I usually know what the number is.
Got them so infrequently, but with the new update to the regulations, we're gonna have a lot more.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think I'll be automatically applying these numbers anymore, but I can tell you that 20 Cherry Street was 140.
All right, we'll put up this one on the screen so we can look at it.
So NAN 141. We have pools and lighting. And I'll scroll back up in 1 second, sorry.
Questions, comments, additions, concerns from commissioners?
Motion to issue.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you, Joe. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Ingeborg, aye, that carries unanimously. And we will move on to the next one, which is Triple T Farm LLC, 1 West Chester Street Extension, SE 483870. And Will can get this up on the screen when he is able to do so.
Triple P Farm. And 1 Westchester. And again, pool and lighting here.
Questions, comments, concerns, additions from commissioners?
Motion to issue.
Is there a second? Thank you, Joe. Roll call. RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Ingeborg, aye. That carries unanimously. And then Kurtz at 177 Pulpus Road, SE 483887. We'll get this on the screen when he can, and we'll go from there.
Here you go. Again, pool and lighting.
Motion to issue.
Is there a second? Thank you, Joe. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. And next is Kialawa at 9 Otokomi, SE 483889.
Nine Otokomi.
The usual.
Pool and light. I mean, not pool. Wow. Lighting.
Is there a pool?
Auto.
Motion
No,
to issue.
Is there any questions, concerns, additions from commissioners?
Nope.
Seeing
Second.
not, we'll take Linda for the motion, RJ for the second. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. And the next one is VTT for Pocomo LLC, 4 Pocomo Road at SE 483888. We'll put this up on the screen.
I'm gonna recuse from this one.
You're gonna recuse from this one?
Yeah. I didn't realize it was FiOS.
Okay. You sat on the hearing, but
I know, I just realized it was FiOS at this point, so I just assumed not vote on it.
okay. All right. Let's everyone check their recusals in advance to make sure that this doesn't happen, but we'll take Lynn as recused for this. Okay, scroll through it. Commissioners, questions, comments, concerns, additions? Okay, is there a motion to approve as drafted? Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
John, second.
Who said that? John?
It was John.
Okay, by roll call vote, RJ,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and Seth votes aye. That carries with Commissioner Williams recused.
Proud of
She's
you
gonna
guys.
be recused for quite a few more in a row, so we'll proceed. The next one is Barrett, 31 Dukes Road, SE 483886 with Commissioner Williams recused. We'll put this up on the screen.
It's lying to you.
Huh?
It's lying.
Confusing me.
I had I had to replace it still. It's showing you 31 Dukes now, right? I just want to make sure.
In the overview, it says 4 apartments.
Ah. Where are we? Let's fix that. We do have a typo in this one, permit overview. I must have done 4 Pocomo before this one.
Is it the right description?
It is.
Okay.
It's a single family dwelling and septic upgrade for this one. But this typo is one that happens.
We did in fact close this one, right? 31 Dukes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
Oh,
So go
good.
ahead.
So we got 31 Dukes. He's also got a lot done there.
Any questions, concerns, comments from commissioners?
Yeah, that's a little better. Thanks a lot.
Seeing none, is there a motion to issue as, I guess, amended? Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
John, second.
Okay, thank you, RJ. Roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Seth Ingeborg votes aye. That carries with Commissioner Williams recused. And we'll move on. I'm going to request that we take the 390 Comet LLCs together. That would be at 86 Comet, 88 Comet, and 90 Comet with the permit numbers SE 48, 38, 72, 73, and 75. And Will, do you want to kind of tell us if there's any differences between these and show them on the screen?
So I just want to make sure I'm saying this correctly, but I believe that 90 is going to be the one that's different. So 86 and 88. I'll share 86 first because 90 is basically going to be the same exact permit with something missing.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
80 and 86 are identical. So. Steph, if you can't see us, we just like lost power to our owl again. I'm gonna try to fix that.
I can't see you, but I can see the screen and I can hear you.
That's the most important thing. So 86 Maya comment. This was proposed construction of a single family dwelling, pool, cabana, and retaining wall. 88 is the same thing. 90 is the same thing minus a dwelling. So
Okay.
there's already an existing dwelling. but the
Okay,
rest of it,
scroll through the conditions.
we have lighting and pool conditions.
Okay, good. Put up 88.
Just give me 1 second, so. The laptop could be an issue.
No waivers required.
Okay, we're safe. Battery dies instantly on this laptop and then we'd have real problems. Then 88. Uh, 88, same situation, single family dwelling, pool, cabana, retaining wall, same conditions.
Okay, put up 90.
The owl,
Oh, when it turns on.
huh? Yeah, it makes an owl noise.
That's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, the noise is nice. Does the
That's the kind of owl that.
a meeting owl.
Meeting owl, okay.
What's the genus for owls?
Owlus.
Owlus media.
Parnell is Tyto alba, and some other owls are in ASIO, and yeah, it depends what owls.
I like trees better, they're easier. Okay. 90's coming up, sorry, where did that go? I have them all. There we go. All right. 90 Maya Comet, same as the last two, minus the dwelling. And I've got to update the address here to 90. Since Will did all three of these real quick in a row. Just make sure the mapping parcel's right too. But other than that, we have our lighting and pool conditions for this.
All right.
Map and parcel's correct. I just want to make sure I didn't miss a second thing up there.
Okay, commissioners, questions, comments, concerns on any of those? If not, is there a motion to issue all three orders of condition? Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
Okay.
John, thank you for the
John.
second. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plendowski,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. Those all carry with Commissioner Williams recused. And then we will be moving on to Abrams Point Realty Trust at 30 Rabbit Run Road, SE 483874.
I think I have to hit a button to get the camera back. but
It's
we're
on, the light's on.
Yeah, we're good. I've just been
I don't
too
care.
busy hitting other buttons. All right, this should be sharing. 30 Rabbit Run Road.
Anybody want a seltzer?
And I
Brought these
will
before I knew we'd be in a freezing trailer.
Yeah. Well, we got.
let y'all read this real quick.
Questions, comments, concerns from commissioners?
Motion to issue.
Thank you, Linda. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, John. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plendowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. Next is Go Cardinal LLC at 2 Windsor Road, SC 483865. Will can get it up.
We know these by heart.
All right. Is there any questions, concerns, comments?
No, motion to issue.
Okay, is there a second? Are you guys all good in the room there? Second made by Joe. Will, you all set? I can't hear, we can't hear you. Yeah, you're on mute. Can you try to talk again? We don't have any audio.
Do you hear me now, Seth?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
We can hear you. Not now.
No, no.
Somebody can open their phone, we can hear them that way. It's gonna take them a half an hour to come back in now. And I'm gonna go eat. You want John or somebody to open their phone?
Sure, if they can.
They can.
I mean, everyone can hop on the Zoom if they want.
I'm not sure they can hear you, though. That's the problem. You know, we're in this trailer for another 3 weeks, you know. 3 meetings. Why we got the stepchild, I don't know.
Yeah, we lost all our audio.
I know. Can you keep your phone open? Keep your phone open so we can hear you. I'm on, I can hear you. And I'm on with, I'm still on. So Joe, myself, and Seth are still on here.
Yeah.
You want to take that vote and get rid of that one? Because we already motioned that one.
We can't take the vote because we need 4 commissioners to vote on that. We have 3 people who can hear us.
Well, Mike can hear you. He's
Okay.
right here.
Yeah, we can hear you guys now. So there is a motion made and seconded by roll call vote. RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously.
And that was Windsor, right?
That was Windsor. We're gonna go
Okay.
on to IM Investments LLC, 10 Auriga Street, SC 483880.
Just got out of laptops. Yeah. And everything was just. It's all falling apart.
10 Auriga, bringing that up now. We're still having mild difficulties, but we can hear sort of now, so I'm gonna keep trying.
All right, just so you know, the owl did not work at my meeting on Monday either.
Yeah.
But we could hear everybody, but the owl did not move on the table.
Yeah, as long as we can see the permit and hear people, that's all we need.
And just real quick, is Art still here?
I
don't see him.
I don't believe so.
This was one, I think that I had some sort of discrepancy in the NOI. That like, there might have been a copy and paste with a pool or something, and I couldn't tell if there was actually a pool on this application.
Well, do you want to put it over?
Would you want to hold this over to the 23rd?
Yeah, let's hold it for now. We're just seeing all that red text. I recall that
Okay.
issue.
All right.
Okay.
We'll hold Teneriga to just January 23rd. And we're gonna take the 2 JJ McAtee Jr. 1996 revocable trusts together. That's at 220 Pulpus Road and 226 Pulpus Road, SC 48, 38, 67, and 66. And we'll try to get those up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's gonna be able to do that with the owl not finding, that whole system is kind of wacky.
He's gonna try. He can't, but we're gonna try.
We can
I did
also
get
hear
him in
you
my
better
email.
now. I don't know if you can still hear us, correct?
Yes, but I did get them an email.
Yeah, do you want
I
me
can
to
read
share
it.
do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, because you got them and I got them this
Guys.
afternoon.
Hello,
Yes.
the screen sharing is all fine. We're just
Okay.
trying to get audio back in our room and I needed a second. but
Okay. Yep.
good.
There we go. There's 226 pulpus. So let's look through that, and then we'll look through
Okay.
the 220 pulpus, and then if there's no questions or concern, we'll uh issue them both together. So that one looks good. Put up the 220 pulpus now.
You know, we really don't have any waiver required that we actually approved.
Yes.
That was weird.
Same deal.
All
as
right,
last.
I'll make a motion to issue both.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Joe. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Pandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg votes aye. Those carry unanimously. And we'll do Madrone Lake LLC, 26 Monomoy, SC 483881.
And when we're done with these, I have to sign off.
Okay.
I can't sit on the electric company anyway.
Will can get it up on the screen.
Thanks, Monomoy. This is
Visual.
regrading for cellar access. I am pretty sure that this exterior lighting condition, I put it on there because I imagined a light on a bulkhead. I will stretch as the imagination.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You guys can let me know.
We can keep that.
And not usually, but go ahead.
I don't think that one's not NHESP though.
Now that. I don't think it is.
No.
You want to double check, but that.
Okay. Yeah, you can.
Get rid of it.
Paul is verifying real quick. I know you can't see the camera.
Yeah, no, it's not NHESP.
Yeah, confirmed non-NHESP.
All right.
We don't need 20.
Do people want the lighting condition? Yes or no? Joe,
No.
yes or no?
No.
No. RJ, yes or no?
To staff, from the chair, why were you expecting one of the bulkhead?
I'm not expecting.
Okay, yeah, no.
I know.
All right. Yeah.
I stretch my imagination when I imagine
Take
lights.
it off. Take it
Okay.
Take it
off.
off.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to issue with as amended without 20.
Is there a second? Thank you, Joe. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Pandowski,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously.
21 went over.
Yeah, we continued 21 Field Avenue. And then we have the 88 Pocomo, SE 483506, and the 24A New Lane, SE 483621. But the motion in the amended orders of condition section was actually to close an issue, so we already issued these.
Okay, so we don't need them.
We don't need to do, the motion made was to close an issue.
That's what I thought.
So then in the next section, orders of conditions or amended orders of conditions that require a waiver, we didn't close any of these. So we're gonna move on. We don't have any requests for the determination of applicability. We have one minor modification. Linda, are you signing off at this point?
I'm signing off. Happy New Year.
Please let it
New
be known
Year.
for the record that Commissioner Williams has signed off at 8:15 p.m. And all right, we have the minor modification, Nantucket Electrical Company at 1 Candle Street, SE 483334. Miss Kaplan, are you representing this?
Yes.
Please introduce yourself for the record and your connection to the project, and then please proceed.
Yes, hi, my name's, do you want me to, is there a way to turn on the video or is it not, is that not?
There should be, if you're a panelist.
I don't see a way, but I'm okay with it if you guys are.
What kind of device are you on?
I'm on my computer, PC.
It should be at the bottom next to audio. There should be a video thing. You should click.
He had to add me as a panelist.
Yeah, she was registered as a attendee, Seth, but
Okay.
Sorry, kick me off for a second. I'm back.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, my name is Melissa Kaplan. I'm with the BSC Group. I'm representing Nantucket Electric Company. We submitted application to amend order of conditions, but I guess you are considering it to be a minor mod. The original order of conditions included a bunch of underground conduit installation, as well as elevating some switch gears on a platform. The jurisdictional resource area is land subject to coastal flowage. That's the only resource area. And actually scroll up, you can find the map. So we've those are on hold. I don't know if those are moving forward at this time, but what the electric company wants to move forward with is installing, there's an ER map. It's like my overview of all the work. If you could find that, that'll be good. Should be after that, I think. Like a aerial based map that, yeah, right there. So you can see all the little yellow lines are the new conduit that are proposed to be installed. The blue shading is the floodplain, so that's land subject to coastal flowage. So essentially, they've determined at this time they're not going to relocate the switch gears. They're going to use some existing conduit and install these minor areas of conduit and use existing manholes. A couple of small little infrastructures, that they're installing little like junction boxes essentially right there on the substation property right there off of Candle Street. But other than that, and then they're replacing underground conduit with cable and conduit in concrete encased conduit in Still Dock Street right there. I guess there is a little bit of work in the buffer zone right there by manhole 6 on Easy Street. There's a small little piece where they just need to make a connection for some reason. That little piece is not there and they need to put it in. But essentially that's all they're looking to do. They are looking to start in March of this year and should be done hopefully by the end of May. I think they have to be by the end of May due to I think restrictions to these roads.
Thank you, Ms. Kaplan. Any questions or comments from commissioners? Will, do we have everything we need to proceed here?
Yes, we do. And also, I don't know if this helps to clarify it at all, but I think this was actually submitted as like a request for administrative approval.
Yeah.
We thought it met the minor mod.
Yeah, I guess that was a little unclear. I guess the administrative approval for an amended order of conditions.
Yeah, I think this, speaking in my role as a chair and my authority as a chair, I think it perfectly meets the minor modification requirement. So we'll proceed with that. Doesn't seem like any commissioners have questions or comments, so is there a motion to issue the minor modification?
Motion to issue.
Thank you, John and Joe, for the second. By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And now we have certificates of compliance. We have 3 for Nantucket Wales End, 2 LLC at 43 and 45 Squam Road. We're going to take these all together. They're for SE 48, 34, 60, 35, 44, and 3607. Will, can you walk us through these, or Brian, are you going to walk us through these ones?
I'm happy to, if Brian isn't super excited to.
Brian, it's your project, so you decide.
I'll turn it over to Will, but I'm here for questions.
All right, Will, go ahead.
So we had these next 3 are all gonna be for 43 and 45. For 3607, we had the construction of a dwelling, garage, barn, and reconfigured pervious driveway. Will made his site visit. Site is in compliance. This portion had conditions 18 and 19. So I was recommending issuing this one with no ongoing. I think what we'll do, I'll mention the last one last because that'll have ongoing conditions, but the next one, 3554, I'm even in the right order, was in-kind replacement of the existing crawl space foundation. We had 18 to 19 again. This one did have an additional finding that is up to you guys if you'd like me to continue an additional finding. Land subject to coastal storm flowage and bordering vegetated wetland is on the locus, but no part of the project is within that resource area or buffer zone. This is a pre-will scenario.
Yeah, I understand the reason that was put on there, but it's irrelevant to continue it because it doesn't do anything.
I wanted to make sure.
Okay. For the project, and if there was an additional application on this property, they'd have to get a new delineation anyway, so.
And then this last one, this one involved a pool, but we had additions on the structures, reconfiguration of the deck, reconfiguration of driveway, a game court, a new structure, a new pool, hardscaping. So we did have 18 and 19, but we would be continuing conditions 20 through 20. Actually, the numbers are funny, never mind. Conditions 19 to 23 on this one. And the only difference from our standard pool conditions today is that 23 doesn't. I'll just read it. It's the difference between the stormwater, the wastewater treatment plant. So 23 would be the applicant shall provide the contact information for the company maintaining the pool. The pool company shall provide 48-hour notice of any drain in the commission with a plan showing where the pool shall be drained to. This was our commission pumping it from a truck.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
continuing those.
Commissioners, questions or comments? Okay, is there a motion to issue the certificates of compliance for SE 48 3460 with no ongoing conditions and SE 48 3544 with no ongoing conditions and SE 48 3607 with ongoing conditions 19 through 23?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, John.
Second.
And or who is RJ did the
RJ did that.
Okay, we're gonna take Joe for the second by roll call vote. RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. Those are all issued unanimously. And then we'll move on to Cohen and Christman. 24 Medowee Creek Road, or Medowee Creek if you prefer, SE 48 3498.
You prefer.
Brian, do you want to do this one or Will again?
Whatever Will's preference is.
All right, Will, take it away.
All right. So we had 24 Medowee Creek Road would be Will's preference. Thank you. And this order permitted the installation of a pool, porch, shed, driveway, septic upgrade, restoration of the buffer zone, and hardscaping. We had an additional finding on this one too. This you may want to continue. I'll throw it out to you guys again. Additional finding 2 was that the commission finds that the landscape walls shown adjacent to the driveway and within the 50-foot setback are not permitted by this order. I never said that. But if that's, I thought potentially as it's something not being permitted by the order, that might be important.
As an ongoing?
Yeah, I was the one who wrote that finding. And it doesn't matter to continue it forward because we're closing out the finding, or we're closing out the order, so the order is not valid anyway. So it's still not permitted because the order doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and they were not constructed, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for the clarity on that. And then
MACC needs to offer a semantics course.
Will tries to be thorough and make sure no matter what. But the ongoing conditions for this one would be again 19 through 23. It's funny, we did our numbering weird back then. And again, actually, this one's kind of different. So 19 through 21 are our general first 3 pool conditions. 22 is that all lighting shall be directed downwards and away from the resource area. And then 23 will be the same that I mentioned on the last application, that the applicant shall provide the contact info for the company maintaining the pool. They'll provide 48-hour notice of any draining to the commission with a plan showing where the pool shall be drained to. And that was
And we should continue 26 as well.
26 stone walkway. Yes.
Shall be pervious to allow water to drain between the stones. So is there a motion, or actually, first of all, is there any questions or comments?
No.
Okay, if not, is there a motion to issue the certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 26?
That's correct.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. By roll call vote, RJ Turcotte,
Aye.
Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
I can't tell where Joe's gonna participate.
John Schaefer,
Aye. He's got a delay.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. We'll be
Thank
moving on to extension requests. We have Goldrich and Rice at 41 Crooked Lane, 2 requests, SC 48, 33, 68, and 3406. We're going to open these both up in tandem. And Mr. Madden, you're welcome to explain the reason for these requests.
Got these, Brendan.
Sure. Thank you so much. Brian Madden from LEC Environmental. Yeah, there's 2 extension requests. One for 3406 is for the approved construction of a garage, driveway, associated grading, landscaping, utilities within the buffer zone to BVW. The second one is for removal of an existing structure and construction of an addition with associated grading, landscaping, utilities within the buffer zone. No work has commenced on either project, and the applicants are requesting a 3-year extension for both.
Thank you, Brian. And I learned something new by reading these applications. I learned that Mass Leads Act is continuing permit deadlines. So now we have all sorts of more fun things to deal with. But is there a motion to issue the 3-year extension request for both of these permits?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, by roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Seth Engelborg, aye. And that
so
carries
much.
unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. We'll now be moving on to other business, approval of minutes, unfortunately none. Monitoring reports, none. Committee reports, crack, Tim is not here. CPC, John,
Nothing to
go ahead.
report.
Okay, NPDC, Mike,
Nothing to report.
Harbor Plan, Linda left, so nothing to report. Commissioners' comments?
Great job.
Yeah, it was a long meeting, but I think some improvements in the consent type voting, so thank you for
Definitely.
executing.
Thank
Yep.
you. It was a long meeting, but it would have been exponentially longer with the old
Yeah.
procedure. I
Agreed.
know it was probably a bit confusing to commissioner, staff, and the public, but it will become second nature soon enough. So
How can we get the
enforcement
word out?
actions or potential enforcement actions, we have any of those?
I don't have anything planned tonight, but I do have a couple of unrelated staff comments next, but I did hear.
Administrator or staff reports, go ahead.
One last comment. How do we get the word out to these guys about this permitting thing we're gonna start applying?
I'm sending an email in the morning.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
That's gonna hold a lot of
yeah.
people up if we don't.
I mean, to be fair, the procedures that we adopted, they're in the public domain, so we should just post them on the front page of our website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we need to update some of the website anyways to have the regulations more more easily accessible. Let's post the procedures while we're at it too.
We see mostly the same guys, though. You should just tell them.
Yeah, so and if we're ready for Will's staff comment,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think this will definitely be in an email tomorrow. But Brian's here and he already does this, so this is pointless for Brian, but Will really would love to stop seeing chapter 1 point yada 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 in NOI submissions. So I'm gonna lay that out in email, especially with the new regs. Let's get on the chapter 390 situation. I hate translating. Number 2, I was gonna make a comment related to what John said because I want to make sure that that's super clear to everybody. I know they were at the hearings, but
One other thing is not to emulate the HTC, but can we track which ones are the new regs and which ones are the old regs with
Yeah.
like color?
So
Color coding?
Yeah,
Like the HTC does?
that was another thing I wanted to pop in tonight is that I know this is gonna get super interesting for the next 2 months, I'll say.
Right.
We're gonna be hearing stuff under old regs and new regs. Lisa and I have been talking about how we're gonna, denote that on the agenda. We're gonna either have a symbol or a highlight on the
Yeah,
number.
something, so we
So
know.
we'll make that known to everybody. But I feel good about this and I think we would have had a 6-hour meeting tonight if we didn't have our batch, so.
Some of you would have had a 6-hour meeting, I think.
I'm going to let.
That's all I got to say.
Out at 4.
Yep, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, I do have one point to raise, and that is in looking at the Inquirer and Mirror, the last one that came out, there's a really nice section put in by ZBA, half a page all the way down. And then you look at Conservation Commission, we're all over the map. Is there some reason it's done that way?
Think I know the
I don't
answer to
know.
that.
Ask the Inky.
I might know the answer to that if it helps.
Go ahead.
I know that they just have to fit us in where we can fit, and we have so many that our legal ads are a little shorter, I think, than other boards and commissions that have to legally post.
Well, the ZBA took a whole half a page.
I barely look at this.
Yeah, I think they just fit us in where it makes sense, but that's my guess.
All right. Will, anything else?
That's it.
All right,
Motion to
so-
adjourn?
Football.
Yeah, before we do that, we
Sorry.
can talk about this offline too, but I'm gonna commit to meeting with you probably before each meeting for a while. To try
I
to
would love
figure out
that.
the agendas and also probably to go over some of the findings together to make things a little bit easier. So we can figure that out offline, but other than that, I think we can take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Joe got it, but you get the second.
Thank you.
By roll call vote, RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Mike Mizzarelli,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Planowski,
Hi.
Seth Engelborg, aye. That carries unanimously, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all, and have a nice week and weekend.
Thank you, Seth. Thanks.
Fine, you're back from vacation.
So what are they doing here? They're like on the verge of getting heat in this building?
We
or-
We're going to have heat. It's so sad because we have to stare at the heaters, not use them.
We couldn't have got upstairs at the above where we go.
Yeah.
John, thank you.
But what, I don't know.